did not step forward to volunteer. Otherwise, they would have faced Emperor Jun's scathing critique in front of so many demonkind, a most humiliating experience. Your Majesty, please temper your ire. The few demon leaders acted out of a desire to protect our kin from disgrace, which ignited their tempers, and thus they sought to engage in battle. We beg for your forgiveness. At that moment, Bai Zhe, who had previously remained silent, stepped forward once more, bowing respectfully to plead on behalf of the volunteer leaders. Ah, you dare not speak now? Then perhaps there is still hope for you. Emperor Jun sighed, retracting the oppressive aura that enveloped him. He did not gaze at Bai Zhe, but instead turned his attention to the volunteering demon leaders, his tone softening somewhat. I too am vexed by the actions of the Witch Clan. I understand that your intentions are noble, seeking to alleviate my burdens. Yet, it is still too early to engage in war with the Witch Clan. With that, Emperor Jun shifted his focus to Bai Zhe. Draft an edict. From this day forth, the 4 heavenly gates shall be completely sealed. Recruitment shall be suspended. All matters concerning the lower realms shall be halted. Without my command, the 4 heavenly gates must not be opened until my next emergence. Chapter 274. Bai Zhe's Secret Joy. The primordial realm is not merely about warfare. When Emperor Jun's decree was issued, all the demon kind within the Grand Hall were left in stunned silence. Particularly, those demon leaders who had just been reprimanded wore expressions of sheer disbelief. They had assumed that given Emperor Jun's historically decisive and ruthless nature, he would choose to engage in battle upon facing the provocations of the Witch Clan. This was precisely why they had volunteered for battle. They all believed that Emperor Jun would acquiesce to their appeal for war. Yet now, not only had they been chastised, but he also refused to sanction any conflict. How could they possibly resort to such a cowardly course of action? To seal the 4 great heavenly gates? To confine the celestial realm? This amounts to a blatant admission to all the heavens and the Witch Clan that they, the demon race, are quaking in fear of confrontation. If this news spreads, how will the vast wilderness and the myriad small worlds perceive the demon race henceforth? All the hard-earned reputation they have built over the years would be utterly obliterated. In that moment, apart from Baize, every demon present in the Grand Hall, from the high-ranking demon generals to the lesser officials, displayed expressions of profound disappointment. Their earlier arrogance had swiftly transformed into a palpable despondency. Yet, even so, they dared not utter a word in protest. After all, Emperor Jun had not merely issued an order, he had directly penned a decree. This demonstrated the resoluteness of his decision. To voice any dissent now would be tantamount to courting death. Within the Grand Hall, only Baize, who was drafting the decree, wore a smile upon his face. The reasoning was quite simple. Baize harbored no desire to engage in war with the Witch Clan at this juncture. While others may be unaware of the Witch Clan's formidable power, Baize, with his profound understanding of the myriad races, was acutely aware. Each of the 12 ancestor witches could easily overpower the demon generals present. Even the mightiest among the top 10 demon generals, Jaimin, would stand no chance. Given such a vast disparity in strength, how could they possibly wage war? The depth of the Witch Clan's resources was something the current demon race could not hope to rival. Not even after 10,000 years, or even 100,000, or 1,000,000 years would the demon race come close to matching the Witch Clan. Thus, it would be exceedingly irrational for the demon race to forsake their continued development in favor of engaging in conflict with the Witch Clan. Moreover, Baize had devoted an entire millennium to advancing the demon race to its current state. Should war erupt, the ensuing chaos could easily obliterate all his hard work. Naturally, Baize wished to avoid such a fate. Therefore, upon hearing Emperor Jun's decree, which did not call for war, but rather for seclusion and quiet development, Baize felt a profound sense of relief. He perceived this as a sign of Emperor Jun's maturation over the millennia, no longer the impulsive ruler of ages past, quick to resort to violence. This was the temperament befitting an emperor. After all, not every issue can be resolved through conflict. Issuing a decree to close the 4 great heavenly gates was indeed the most prudent course of action. After all, the celestial realm boasts 33 heavens, replete with ample resources for cultivation, more than sufficient for the demons to train until their last breath. Therefore, Baize harbored no objections to this decree. In fact, he wholeheartedly endorsed it. As for the sentiments of the other demons, what do they truly understand? To speak of the Witch Clan as coarse and uncouth, are these demon lords not akin to mountain bandits in their essence? The tribes they lead are far less disciplined than the Witch Clan. Contemplating this, the decree of the demon emperor was finally completed. With both hands, he cradled the imperial edict, elegantly crafted with jade handles and golden silk, which then levitated before him. Emperor Dijun cast a brief glance downwards, ensuring its accuracy. With a wave of his right hand, a thunderous sound erupted. In an instant, the decree soared from the Lingxiao Palace, illuminating the horizon of every layer of the celestial realm. Radiant beams of light erupted from the edict, each character magnified countless times, hovering in the void, enabling every demon clan in the 33 heavens to behold it clearly. The imperial voice of Dijuan, commanding and authoritative, resonated as each demon clan beheld the decree. At that moment, all those who could see and hear the decree, whether in the midst of cultivation or stationed at the 4 great heavenly gates, were rendered motionless, gazing skyward in utter disbelief. Were it not for the echo of Dijuan's voice still lingering in their minds, they might have thought someone was impersonating their sovereign. After all, this decree was utterly unfathomable. The vivid memory of their sovereign leading them to assault the celestial court a mere 10 millennia ago lingered in their minds. How domineering he had been while commanding the great array of the stars. How brief a time has passed. In just 10 millennia, their sovereign has decreed the closure of the 4 great heavenly gates? Does this not imply that their clan is to become a turtle withdrawing into its shell? Soon, the entire celestial realm, all 33 heavens, began to stir with fervor. What? Could it be that I have not seen or heard correctly? Is this decree genuine? The closure of the 4 great heavenly gates? What of those beings who yearn for our demon clan and await ascension? My brother is still in the lower realms waiting. To think that our sovereign not only disregards the witch clan, but also seeks to close the 4 great heavenly gates. Does this not mean we shall be unable to descend to the lower realms? No. Even if the southern gate is blocked, we still have the other 3 gates. What shall we do now that they are to be closed? Alas, I wonder what our sovereign is contemplating. Hush! Do not speak of our sovereign lightly. Whispers of debate arose among the demon clans. Clearly, after experiencing victory a millennium ago, all demon clans have become exceedingly arrogant. Many are aware that the witch clan has set up barriers atop Mount Bujo, preventing beings from the lower realms from ascending to the celestial realm. They have been awaiting the conclusion of the Lingxiao Palace's council, anticipating their sovereign to lead them forth once more, ideally to seize Mount Bujo entirely. Thus, the southern gate would no longer be obstructed by the witch clan below. Yet now, not only have they awaited the onset of battle instead, they awaited the closure of the 4 great heavenly gates. In that moment, discontent surged among the demon clans, and a cacophony of voices erupted. After all, although the celestial realm boasts 33 heavens, many of the rare materials for cultivation and various amusements are exclusive to the primordial earth. Prior to the establishment of barriers by the witch clan, they frequently traversed the realms at will to procure these resources. Even after the south heavenly gate was obstructed, they would take detours through the other 3 gates to descend. Yet now, with this imperial decree, the 4 great heavenly gates were to be completely sealed. The demon clans wore expressions of distress, seemingly foreseeing a period of monotonous existence ahead. However, despite their grievances, the demon soldiers stationed at the 4 great heavenly gates did not dare to slacken their duties. Boom, 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 boom. Upon witnessing the imperial edict, at the command of the 4 gatekeepers, the gates thunderously closed, momentarily severing the connection between the celestial realm and the primordial earth. Chapter 275. The Witch and Demon Clans at War? Let us find a way to incite their conflict. Ah, have you heard? The Demon Clan is confined within the celestial realm by the Witch Clan, unable to step outside. TSK, who told you that? I distinctly heard that the 12 ancestors of sorcery assaulted the South Heavenly Gate, causing Emperor June to be dazed with a couple of slaps. Absurd. They are all spouting nonsense. Rumors are unreliable. In any case, it is true that the 4 great heavenly gates of the celestial realm have been sealed. Alas, if only the witch and demon clans would engage in battle, we in the Western sect could expand our influence. The great Thunder Sound Temple atop Mount Sumeru shone ever more resplendently, its brilliant Buddhist light illuminating the entirety of the Western lands. At that moment, in a corner of the great Thunder Sound, many monks, taking a rare break from their labors, gathered around a stone table, indulging in wine and meat while engaging in idle chatter. Over the years, with the proliferation of Buddhist teachings, the monks have been exceedingly busy. Countless monks return from afar daily, bringing new disciples, while others venture forth from Mount Sumeru with golden bowls and Buddhist scriptures. Thus, whenever they have the opportunity to linger in this sacred Western land, they seize the moment to relish it. Now, they enjoy food and drink while discussing the recent affairs of the Demon Clan in the Celestial Realm. It is said that the nature of a teacher shapes the character of the student. From a single pit, one cannot produce 2 distinct flavors of vermin. Under the tenets of the Western sect, guided by the teachings of Jain and Zhuanti, nearly all the monks have transformed from their naive beginnings upon joining the Western sect into cunning and brazen individuals. For instance, regarding the matter of the demon and witch clans, these monks lament that it would be a tremendous pity if the 2 clans did not come to blows. Their revered teachers, Jain and Zhuanti, have imparted wisdom that resonates deeply within them. Only amidst the chaos of the world can the teachings of the Western faith truly facilitate the salvation of sentient beings. If all beings were devoid of suffering, what purpose would their salvation serve? Wouldn't the Western faith be rendered mere decoration? The 48 grand vows established by their two holy sages would remain unfulfilled. Thus, when these monks deliberate on the affairs of the witch and demon clans, their discourse is laden with regret and disdain. Regret that the witch and demon clans did not engage in conflict, and disdain for the demon clan, which, once fiercely aggressive against the celestial court, now cowers before the witch clan. This small circle, characterized by trivial conversations over food and drink, serves as a microcosm of the entire Western faith. How surprising it is that after Emperor Jun was conferred by the heavenly Tao, he has become even more timid. Within the inner hall of the Great Thunder Sound Temple, the illustrious Zhuan-Ti, who can hear all the sounds of Mount Sumeru, turned to his companion Jie-in and spoke with a tone full of regret. As previously stated, the conduct of the Western faith's monks reflects the profound teachings of the two holy sages. Upon hearing the disciples' discussions about the demon clan, Zhuan-Ti ceased his meditation and initiated a conversation. His tone, laden with a longing for chaos in the primordial world, starkly contrasted with the serene and sacred atmosphere of the inner hall, as well as with his appearance, already garbed in robes resembling an ancient Buddha. Jie-in, sitting with eyes closed in contemplation, responded softly, his tone devoid of any discernible emotion. Unperturbed, Zhuan-Ti continued to sigh, lamenting, "What a pity. I had hoped the witch and demon clans would engage in battle, but it seems we must continue to wait. Brother, do not merely hum. Is there not a way to prevent such a light-hearted conclusion?" Upon hearing this, the previously closed-eyed Jie-in finally opened his eyes. He gazed at Zhuan-Ti, a contemplative glimmer briefly flickering in his murky gaze. Though Jie-in appeared composed, the urgency within his heart was no less than that of Zhuan-Ti. The reason is simple. For millennia, not a single one of the 48 grand vows they established has been fulfilled. Not only have they failed to accomplish them, but they also lack any semblance of a plan to achieve them. Do they feel regret? Undoubtedly. When they initially glimpsed the possibility of gaining merit through their grand vows to the heavenly Tao, they were utterly enchanted, neglecting the consequences of their actions. Now, they have indeed attained sanctity through merit. Yet a critical issue looms before them, an issue they only realized at the moment of their sanctification. Unless they fulfill the 48 grand vows they established, their purpose remains unachieved. They will remain forever trapped in the early stage of the heavenly Tao saint, unable to progress further, akin to the realms below that of a saint. Upon achieving the status of a saint, they become aware of the two superior realms that lie beyond. First, the heavenly Tao saint, followed by the great Tao saint. Each of these vast realms is subdivided into 4 smaller stages: early, middle, late, and peak. However, those who achieved sainthood through borrowed merit for grand aspirations, such as the two from the West, find themselves perpetually confined to the early stage of sainthood. Indeed, it is a dramatic and cruel reality. They had anticipated that attaining sainthood would liberate them from all constraints. Yet, every grand ambition they established has now become a bottleneck. This is precisely why Zhuan-Ti spoke as he did earlier, and why the Western teachings have fervently propagated the Buddhist doctrine to the outer world in recent years. To put it bluntly, they had no intention of fulfilling their grand aspirations before setting them forth. Yet now, this situation has paradoxically become their primary task. Both Zhuan-Ti and Jie-in are suffering immensely. After all, aside from the peculiar master brother and the farcical Laozi, Jie-in and Zhuan-Ti are the latest among the disciples of the mystical sect to achieve sainthood, and they possess the least insight. Initially slow, they now find their realm stifled. If this continues, will they not fall further behind the demon cult, the expounding sect, and the intercepting sect? It is one thing to remain as heavenly Tao saints for now, but what if in the future, figures like Nuwa break through to the great Tao saint? At that time, the two from the West will be as insignificant as ants before the great Tao saints. Their Western teachings will find no foothold. One fears that even this Western land may not be preserved. Thus, the urgency of their grand aspirations cannot be overstated. Yet, contemplating the content of these aspirations, achieving them without a chaotic world will be exceedingly difficult. Initially, Jie-in believed that the demon race would not endure this time and would confront the witch race. In such a case, their Western teachings could seize the opportunity to act, surely achieving their grand aspirations. Unexpectedly, Di-Jun has orchestrated such a turn of events. Masters, the disciples of the human teachings seek an audience, came a clear voice from beyond Mount Shumi. Although separated by countless spaces and formidable formations from the inner sanctum of the Great Thunder Sound Temple, under the radiance of the saintly light, this voice was immediately discerned by Jie-in and Zhuan-Ti. Only they, among all the disciples of Mount Shumi, perceived it, while the rest remained entirely oblivious. Upon hearing that voice, Jie-in and Zhuan-Ti abruptly stood, exchanging startled glances. Chapter 276. Xian Du comes to pay respects to the two masters. Xian Du, a disciple of the human sect. Which human clan does he belong to? Jane and Xuanti abruptly rose, whispering in astonishment. The two exchanged glances, each reflecting the surprise and vigilance they felt in each other's eyes. For the two sages, who had long anticipated the chaos in the primordial world, they were acutely aware of all that transpired in the outside realm. After achieving sainthood, many mysteries that eluded them prior became unveiled and under their dominion. However, even with their newfound enlightenment, certain truths remained obscured, eluding their grasp despite their efforts. For instance, they were particularly keen to uncover the whereabouts of their second senior brother, Laozi, the foremost among the three pure ones, following his fall from the rank of saint. They pondered the fate of the sole disciple of the human sect he had taken with him. Most importantly, they sought the essence of sainthood, that primordial purple energy, which once resided within Laozi. Jane and Xuanti were acutely aware that their own ascension to sainthood was largely due to their audacity. They dared to demand causality from the Tao ancestor Hongjun. Consequently, they secured the foundation of their own sainthood. This essence was finite. Each use diminished its quantity. If they could obtain the primordial purple energy from Laozi, it would signify their ability to cultivate a new puppet saint upon their chosen path. After all, they had already established 48 grand ambitions. What was the harm in adding another 48? Even if they faced constraints from their grand aspirations, an additional saint would enhance their odds for the Western teachings. Thus, shortly after their ascension, Jane and Xuanti meticulously scoured the vastness of the primordial world using their saintly powers. They even resorted to divination techniques to seek the whereabouts of Laozi. Yet, they were taken aback to find that no matter how they probed or divined, Laozi's aura, his mysteries, and even the threads of causality had vanished without a trace. The primordial purple energy was even more elusive. In light of this, Jane and Xuanti could only lament the cleverness of their second senior brother, the old fox, and reluctantly abandon their search. Thus, upon hearing that a person claiming to be Xian Du had come to pay his respects outside Mount Xumi, Jane and Xuanti were filled with astonishment. They could not fathom the purpose behind Xian Du's unexpected appearance. Did Laozi not fear that they might trace his whereabouts through Xian Du? Or was there another motive at play? Laozi's state has seemingly reverted to that of a sage. Otherwise, how could he exhibit such audacity? Contemplating this, they immediately cast their gazes in all directions around Mount Xumi, incessantly searching for any signs of Laozi's presence beside Xuandu, or perhaps lurking in the shadows. Their sage-like consciousnesses swept across the vast expanse surrounding Mount Xumi, yet all they discerned was a young Taoist standing outside the mountain, with naught else in sight. Not even a trace of their second senior brother could be found. This led to two possible conclusions. Either Laozi had not arrived at all, using Xuandu merely as a pawn while remaining concealed, or he had indeed attained sagehood and was present, yet skillfully masking his presence, evading even their keen investigations. As these thoughts flitted through their minds, Jane and Xuanti exchanged glances, realizing further contemplation was futile. Laozi's absence had already signified his stance. Today was meant for Xuandu to represent him. Thus, after observing Jane's subtle nod, Xuanti waved his right hand towards the hall's exterior. In an instant, a beam of Buddhist light flashed from the peak of Mount Xumi. The next moment, a figure materialized within the inner hall, landing before Jane and Xuanti. Xuandu bowed to the two esteemed uncles, clad in a Tai Chi robe, appearing as a youthful Taoist. Upon his arrival, he respectfully saluted Jane and Xuanti, his demeanor calm and composed, neither subservient nor overbearing. He did not tremble in the presence of their sage-like authority, and this very comportment garnered quiet admiration from Jane and Xuanti. This individual was none other than Xuandu, one of the first generations of humanity sculpted from clay by Nuwa. As the first, or indeed the only, member of the human race to join the teachings, Xuandu had once betrayed the entirety of humanity following Laozi's fall from grace, subsequently vanishing alongside him. After years of absence, he now re-emerged, having matured from his youthful days. The moment they laid eyes on Xuandu, Jane and Xuanti's gazes sparkled with intrigue as they began their preliminary assessment. Yet, outwardly, the two remained exceedingly courteous. "Ah, Xuandu, nephew, we have heard of you. It is a pleasure to finally meet you." Xuanti spoke first, his face adorned with a benevolent smile. Jane nodded slightly, adding with a warm smile, "To have caught the eye of our second senior brother, indeed, you possess remarkable talent." Internally, they were both astonished, not for any other reason, but because of Xuandu himself. They were well aware that humanity had only recently come into existence. Barely a Yuan Hui had passed, and among the myriad of ordinary cultivators in the wilderness, only one earth immortal had emerged in this period. Before them stood Xuandu, who had astonishingly ascended to the realm of golden immortals. Such velocity of cultivation surpassed even the most gifted disciples of their Western sect. Moreover, the aura emanating from Xuandu was enigmatic and ethereal, akin to that of Laozi himself. This inevitably filled Jane and Juanti with profound perplexity. Was such rapid advancement a testament to Laozi's exceptional teachings? Or did Xuandu possess an innate talent that was truly extraordinary? Should it be the latter, then the other primordial human beings must also be remarkable. Previously, their focus had been solely on the Wu and Yao clans, but it seemed prudent to also observe the current state of humanity's development. Your praises are unwarranted, Xuandu replied with a smile, displaying no trace of arrogance in receiving compliments. Without allowing Jane or Juanti to speak, Xuandu promptly addressed the matter at hand, stating, I come on the behest of my master to represent humanity. Firstly, to extend congratulations on the establishment of the Western sect, and to commend both of you on your ascension to sainthood. Secondly, I am here to discuss potential collaboration with the Western sect. Upon hearing Xuandu's words, Jane and Juanti's eyes narrowed, their pupils contracting slightly. They refrained from exchanging glances, for they immediately discerned each other's thoughts, an undeniable intrigue, as Laozi, the foremost of the three purities, had never regarded them with earnestness before. His deliberate dispatch of Xuandu for collaboration stirred a sense of excitement within them. After all, the stature of the Sender was significant, and given their own lesser positions within the Taoist hierarchy, the prospect of partnership with the second senior brother was not one they would dismiss lightly. Yet, being cunning as they were, they maintained an air of composure despite their eagerness to express agreement. Oh, what kind of collaboration are you proposing? And where is the second senior brother at this moment? This time it was Jane who seized the conversational reins, as Juanti remained silent. Since their master had been wronged and subsequently entered seclusion to restore his cultivation, neither Jane nor Juanti knew of his whereabouts. In response to Jane's inquiry, Xuandu offered a nonchalant reply, before emphasizing, as for collaboration, I am here to inquire whether you, esteemed uncles, wish to incite further chaos in this primordial realm. Upon Xuandu's response, though their faces remained inscrutable, Jane and Juanti were filled with discontent internally. They inwardly mocked the notion of persecution. Such claims might be easily uttered elsewhere. But what need was there to feign innocence before them? It was clear that their greed for the fortune of humanity had led to their downfall. And now they dared to speak of persecution. Who had truly wronged them? It is indeed a self-inflicted plight. As for the notion of seclusion and reformation, it piques the interest of both Jane and Juanti. The reformation is undoubtedly genuine. But where will this reformation take place? Is it truly, as Xuandu claims, that he knows nothing? While Jane and Juanti harbor doubts, sinister thoughts begin to stir within them. Both contemplate whether to seize Xuandu immediately and employ soul-searching techniques to uncover memories of Laozi, thereby discovering the primordial purple energy. As this thought crosses her mind, Juanti's heart is already tinged with murderous intent. However, in the next moment, Jane's voice resonates in his mind. Let us see how he proceeds first. Upon hearing this, Juanti's murderous intent diminishes. Since his senior brother has spoken, there must be his considerations. Furthermore, Xuandu has already entered the Great Thunder Sound Temple, and his fate lies within their thoughts. There is no need to rush. At this moment, Jane, having concluded his transmission, fixed a stern gaze upon Xuandu and coldly inquired, What words are these, my nephew? Is this how your second senior brother instructs you? As disciples of the mystical gate, we bear the duty to enlighten all beings and uphold the weak. How can we claim to wish for chaos in the primordial realm? Jane's words brimmed with skepticism and astonishment, his gaze toward Xuandu filled with scrutiny and discontent, as though Xuandu's previous remarks had left him profoundly disappointed. Observing this, Xuandu stood in stunned silence. In that instant, he finally comprehended why his master had cautioned him to be wary of these two senior uncles before his arrival. He also understood why these two had been secretly reviled as shameless by the myriad heavens of the primordial realm prior to their sanctification. Shameless, utterly brazen. Everything was glaringly evident. His master had explicitly stated, who could be said to desire chaos in the primordial realm? It must be these two senior uncles, for they have made grand vows. And what is the outcome? He had spoken to this extent, and now these two uncles feigned ignorance before him, even adopting such a benevolent and sacred demeanor. This left Xuandu feeling profoundly nauseated. With this thought, Xuandu could no longer contain himself and spoke directly. There is no need for my esteemed uncles to deceive me. My master has stated that if the primordial realm does not descend into chaos, your grand aspirations shall remain unfulfilled. In such a case, your cultivation will stagnate, forever trapped at the initial stage of a heavenly Tao saint. With a swish, with Xuandu's words, the once compassionate and merciful eyes of Jane and Juanti narrowed sharply, and a palpable murderous intent surged forth from their depths, only to vanish in an instant. The words of Xuandu directly exposed their vulnerabilities, instilling a sense of wariness within them. Had the second senior brother truly restored his sanctified status? It was crucial to remember that when they set forth their grand aspirations, he had already fallen from grace. How, then, was Xuandu aware that they would remain stagnant in their cultivation should they fail to fulfill their lofty ambitions? Could it be that the second senior brother had indeed regained his saintly realm? Given the gravity of the discussion, was there any need for the two uncles to continue feigning politeness towards their nephew? Noticing that Jane and Xuanti remained silent, evidently struck by the painful truth, Xuandu wasted no time and spoke candidly. Therefore, I have come not with any ulterior motive, but rather because Master believes that the Western sect and the human sect can collaborate on a grand strategy. Jane and Xuanti exchanged glances, their eyes flickering with contemplation. They listened intently to Xuandu, yet refrained from interjecting. Though his words had pricked their sensitive spots, they were nonetheless imbued with a semblance of logic. Upon hearing this, Jane finally found a chink in Xuandu's rhetoric and addressed him. Nephew, you have mentioned collaboration several times, yet you have not delineated the nature of this partnership. Most crucially, given that the Western sect is in a position of weakness, why does the second senior brother seek an alliance with us rather than with the third or fourth senior brothers? After all, we share a common lineage and are of the same school. Pretending to remain indifferent, Xuanti, who was seated in a meditative posture, felt a stirring within his heart as his hands, concealed within his robe, clenched into fists. Indeed, in their preoccupation with investigating Xuandu and the whereabouts of Laozi, they had almost overlooked this pivotal question. Given all that had been said, why did Laozi not ally with Yuanshi and Tongtian? Did they not also desire chaos in the Honghuang realm? It is essential to understand the fundamental nature of the turmoil in Honghuang. It stems from a fixed allocation of resources. Niwa had taken the initiative, seizing the resources of the 33 heavens, while the resources on the earth had long been monopolized by the Witch Clan. Faced with such a formidable entity as the Witch Clan, Xuanti doubted that Yuanshi and Tongtian were not envious. Surely, they too must be contemplating a conflict between the monstrous demon and witch clans to enable a redistribution of resources when the time was ripe. Thus, the query returns to its origin. In the face of this predicament, Laozi ought to have first forged an alliance with Yuanshi and Tongtian, rather than seeking out the Western sect. Even if Laozi had fallen from grace, he remained the foremost among the three pure ones. Surely, blood ties would hold greater weight than the mere recognition of two disciples who had earned their place through servitude. At this moment, Xuandu's expression stiffened. This was a topic he was reluctant to delve deeper into, yet the scrutinizing gaze of Jane and Xuanti was undeniably piercing. At last, he let out a resigned sigh. In truth, my revered master has severed ties with the two uncles of the Chan and Jie sections. Upon hearing this, Xuanti nearly lost his composure, yet being a sage, he managed to suppress the corners of his mouth. However, the slight flaring of his nostrils betrayed the amusement within him. There was no ulterior motive, merely a sense of schadenfreude directed at Laozi. Everyone speaks of their shamelessness. Yet look now, the moment Laozi faces a minor setback, the three pure ones split apart, cutting off all relations. All brotherly bonds cast aside. TSK. They are nothing but hypocrites. At least he and Jie have consistently supported each other from the beginning until now, never abandoning one another. This aspect alone surpasses the three pure ones. Xuanti inwardly scoffed. Meanwhile, Jie, with a slight curve of his brows, displayed a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. He had already anticipated this outcome. If that is the case, cooperation is indeed feasible. Chapter 278. Does Dijun have offspring? 10 little golden crows? Alas, what a pity. The three pure ones originally stemmed from the same source, the primordial spirit of Pangu. How could they fall into such a state of estrangement? Perhaps I should act as a mediator, approaching the Chan and Jie sects to reconcile with my two elder brothers. Although Jie felt joy at the severance of ties among the three pure ones, his countenance still bore a look of regret as he addressed Xuandu. The discord among the three pure ones is indeed a misfortune of the Honghuang era. As a junior brother and a sage, I bear a responsibility. Upon hearing this, Xuanti seized the opportunity to interject. As soon as Jane finished speaking, he promptly added, Indeed. Xuandu, upon your return, you must convey this to our second elder brother. We are all brothers, fellow disciples. There is no need for such a rift to develop. Wouldn't that make us a laughingstock in the eyes of outsiders? As the conversation continued, Xuanti let out a long sigh, his face a mask of regret and sorrow. Observing the performance of these two who had perfected their craft to the realm of sages, Xuandu felt flames of indignation rising within him. A laughingstock to outsiders? I see it as you who are laughing first. If not for the greater good weighing on his heart, Xuandu would have turned on his heel and left. Remaining here was utterly stifling, each moment a torment, more so than among his human kin. It must be understood that he had already severed ties with the other 9,999 siblings to join the human sect. Being in this place was more unbearable than his experiences among the humans. One can only imagine the depth of his disdain for Jie Yin and Xuanti. Yet, despite his loathing for the task entrusted to him by Laozi, Xuandu could only grit his teeth and endure, continuously circulating the Tai Ching techniques within his heart to calm his agitated spirit. Facing the esteemed figures of Jane and Xuanti, Xuandu expressed, "The goodwill of my two esteemed uncles shall be duly conveyed to our master. In the spirit of collaboration today, I shall first present a strategy as a token of sincerity." Observing Xuandu's countenance, which bore a mix of frustration and restraint, Jane and Xuanti felt an immense sense of satisfaction. Over the years, they had endured numerous disparaging looks from their fellow disciples. But today they finally found a chance to reclaim their dignity through Xuandu. As their hearts swelled with joy, Jane and Xuanti became increasingly intrigued by the strategy Xuandu was about to unveil. "Please do share, dear nephew," Jane nodded encouragingly, as if Xuandu were not merely offering a suggestion but rather seeking their esteemed guidance. This notion, however, incited a considerable degree of vexation within Xuandu. After several deep breaths, he resumed, "The two clans of witches and demons have long harbored grievances, and a conflict is inevitably on the horizon. Therefore, it would be prudent for us to intervene preemptively and ignite the flames of discord." In truth, inciting their conflict was not a formidable challenge. We could draw wisdom from history, using it as a mirror to learn from the past. Much like the ancient demon ancestor who facilitated enmity between the witch and demon clans directly. Jane and Xuanti nodded slightly in agreement. It was a sound argument. Yet did they not comprehend this already? The issue was not their reluctance to act, but rather their uncertainty on how to proceed. The demon race steadfastly guarded the celestial realm, impervious as a fortress, though the witch clan was vast and spread across the primordial lands. Their antiquated and clumsy methods proved ineffective. After all, the structure of the witch clan consisted of a central ancestral witch tribe surrounded by larger witch tribes, which in turn were encircled by smaller ones. This hierarchical arrangement dominated the primordial expanse. Should any issue arise, the lower tribes would seek counsel from their superiors, and neighboring tribes would lend assistance. To provoke a war akin to that of Lu S was no simple task. Yet Jane and Xuanti refrained from voicing this concern. They were keen to hear Xuandu's subsequent thoughts. Upon noticing that Jane and Xuanti had refrained from interjecting, Xuandu couldn't help but exhale in relief, continuing, "Thus, I propose we target a crucial entity that exists independently from the witch and demon clans." At these words, Jane and Xuanti exchanged glances, their brows furrowing slightly. Xuandu's speech was perplexing. What did he mean by an entity that was both independent from the witch and demon clans and of great significance? Such a being existed. Are my esteemed uncles unaware that Emperor Jun and Shiha have already borne 10 children? Xuandu inquired. They reside not in the celestial realm, but upon the sun star. What? Jane and Xuanti's eyes widened in disbelief. Emperor Jun had offspring, and they were born from Changxi of the lunar star? Moreover, these children were born on the sun star, not within the celestial realm. They had been utterly oblivious to this revelation. With this realization, the two wasted no time and turned their gazes toward the starry expanse. In the depths of their eyes, a divine radiance suddenly emerged. The power of the sage reached its zenith. In that fleeting moment, the range of their gazes extended into the vast expanse of the starry sky. Soon, they surpassed numerous celestial bodies and settled upon the paramount sun star within the cosmos. At that very instant, both Jane and Xuanti raised their brows in unison, abruptly retracting their glances. Could it be that the two esteemed uncles saw nothing at all? Just then, the carefree voice of Xuandu resonated, devoid of any gloom, now imbued with a hint of delight at witnessing Jane and Xuanti's predicament. "Rest assured, esteemed uncles, you have certainly seen it. Emperor Jun has intricately orchestrated numerous schemes amidst the stars. Centered around the sun star, he has established a main formation, supplemented by various other celestial bodies, shrouded in layers of arrays that obscure the heavenly secrets. Were it not for a personal visit, relying solely on sacred thoughts would likely trigger Emperor Jun's attention. Hence, you would be unable to discern his offspring from your current vantage." As Xuandu spoke, a smile danced upon his lips, unable to be contained. Jane shot a discontented glance at Xuandu, realizing that the young one had known this all along, yet chose to remain silent, clearly deriving pleasure from their embarrassment. Indeed, as Xuandu had articulated, they had seen nothing at all, for the formations surrounding the sun star were extraordinarily convoluted. Not only was there the formidable Zhoutian star array, which integrated both offense and defense, but there also existed the innate array that concealed heavenly secrets. It was no wonder they had failed to perceive Emperor Jun's progeny amidst such a multitude of obscuring formations, unless one deliberately sought to investigate. How could one possibly uncover the truth? Of course, With their cultivation levels, they could forcefully breach the formations and immediately ascertain the situation on the Sunstar. However, doing so might provoke Emperor June, alarming him and causing their plans to fail before they even commenced. This was precisely why they had only dared to steal a glance, and upon finding nothing, retreated their gazes in tacit agreement. Simultaneously, curiosity blossomed within Jane and Juanti. Emperor June's actions seemed to betray a hidden truth. If he had no offspring, why would he establish such elaborate arrays? Yet, they pondered how Xuandu had come to possess such knowledge of these clandestine tactics. Was it possible that their elder brother had indeed reattained the Sage Realm, surpassing even their own prowess? Esteemed uncles, I shall refrain from elaborating further. At this juncture, you must surely comprehend how to unravel the situation. At that moment, Xuandu's words shattered the contemplations swirling within Jane and Juanti. Jane nodded slightly, a smile finally gracing his features as he remarked, if that is the case, there is indeed a method to proceed. Chapter 279, Shihi departed. The old minister Kuanping paid his respects to His Highness in the boundless expanse of the primordial starry river. Two colossal celestial bodies stood in correspondence, one to the east and the other to the west, one embodying the sun and the other the moon, one radiant red and the other deep blue. Each day, they traversed the heavens in a rhythmic dance, moving gracefully through the sky. All the stars in the vast cosmos revolve in unison. These two celestial bodies are none other than the Sun Star and the Moon Star, set amidst the primordial starry expanse. In ancient times, the great deity Pangu fell, his corporeal form transforming into myriad entities. His eyes became these two celestial orbs. At this moment, the Sun Star is ablaze with the eternal and unyielding fires of the sun. This divine fire, unique to the celestial sovereigns Dijuan and Tai, permeates the solar realm. Yet, a peculiar phenomenon manifests at the pinnacle of the highest mountain on this planet. Two towering trees rise majestically, supporting one another, standing resolutely amidst the searing flames. This sunfire, reputed to incinerate all, spares these colossal trees entirely. These two trees, of the same species, resemble mulberry trees but bear no leaves. Their trunks are adorned with fiery red patterns, representing one of the 10 premier innate spiritual roots, the Fusang tree, which is also the birthplace of Dijuan and Tai. Those who have never set foot on the Sun Star might mistakenly believe the Fusang tree to be merely a singular giant tree. However, it is, in fact, two trees growing in mutual support. Even more astonishing is that at the very top of these grand trees, 12 palaces dangle gracefully. Only the family of Dijuan could establish palaces upon this Sun Star. Initially, there were only 2 palaces atop the Fusang tree, one for Dijuan and one for Tai. However, after Dijuan and the Moon Star's 2 sisters, Shiha and Changshi, became partners, they gave birth to 10 golden crows on this very tree. To ensure the 10 sons could grow without interference, Dijuan constructed 10 additional palaces. Tai, naturally, had no objections to this arrangement. After all, since entering the heavenly realm, Tai had built a residence in the 33 heavens and seldom returned to the Sun Star. Children, your father has sent word, calling me to the heavenly realm. I have notified your aunt to come and take care of you. Be obedient and diligent in your cultivation while I am away, all right? At that moment, a gentle voice resonated from the largest palace at the summit. Following this, harmonious voices of compliance echoed. Do not worry, Mother. We will take good care of our younger brothers. Mother, please return swiftly. We shall miss you. Mother, when you see Father, please bring him back. I miss him. In the next instant, a graceful figure soared from the palace, transforming into a stream of blue light as it flew towards the expanse of the cosmos. This figure was Shiha, one of the 2 celestial maidens of the Moon Star, and also the wife of Dijuan, the mother of the 10 little golden crows. The aunt mentioned by Shiha along with the little golden crows is now on her way. Nature is but another fairy of the Moon Star, Changshi. The Sun Star is conducive to the growth of the golden crows. However, for Changshi and Shiha, it is not particularly comfortable. Thus, after Shiha bore 10 offspring, she had to endure this discomfort to reside in the Sun Star for the sake of nurturing the little golden crows. Yet, Changshi remained on the Moon Star. How splendid. Mother has finally departed. Hee. Without the queen to oversee us, we can indulge in idleness. Alas, however, there is nothing on the Sun Star. It is exceedingly dull. Therefore, we must hasten our growth. Did not our father mention that once we take form, we may venture to the celestial realm and explore the vast wilderness? Surely, our eldest brother will be the first to leave. How enviable. Eldest brother, when you finally depart, do return often to share tales of the outside world with us. I wonder how long Mother will be gone. I already find myself missing her. Oh, youngest, do not be so fragile. You must learn from your brothers and be strong. At this moment, witnessing their mother's departure for the first time, the 10 little golden crows began to chatter among themselves. Their words brimmed with novelty and freedom. After all, the pride and unruliness inherent in their Golden Crow bloodline constantly reminded them that no existence could surpass their own, not even their mother. After a brief discussion, the 10 little Golden Crows gradually lost interest and retreated from the palace of Emperor June and Xia, returning to their individual chambers to prepare for diligent cultivation. Eager to take form and eventually descend to the wilderness for adventures, even to glimpse the celestial realm and learn about the demon race. Suddenly, a sound pierced the air from beyond the sun star. In the next moment, a figure, moving with remarkable speed, appeared above the Fusang tree. The newcomer remained silent, simply hovering in the high sky, their gray robe and ashen hair billowing without wind. The scorching sunfire below had no effect on them whatsoever. Upon hearing the commotion, the 10 little Golden Crows, who had just entered their palace, flew out. Before the figure arrived, their voices echoed. Who is it? Is it Ani arriving so soon? Ani, mother has just left, and you are here already. Ani, it has been so long since we last saw you. However, just as they emerged from the palace, their smiles and greetings abruptly ceased, for the figure was not the Changshi auntie they had envisioned. Instead, it was an elderly man, shrouded in shadows and bearing an ominous appearance. As they beheld the old man, he quietly surveyed the 10 Golden Crows, softly counting their number. Who are you? How did you enter the Sunstar? In an instant, the 10 Golden Crows gathered in astonishment. At the forefront stood the Great Golden Crow, with the other Golden Crows nestled behind him, all casting vigilant glances at the elder. Their hearts brimmed with astonishment, intertwined with an insatiable curiosity. For they were well aware that their parents had informed them that not only this solar star, but the entirety of the starry expanse had been shrouded in intricate formations laid down by their sovereign father. Within this solar star, beyond the sacred Fusang tree, there existed a primordial grand array. This array not only gathered the spiritual essence and true flames of the sun for the cultivation of the 10 Golden Crows, but also isolated them from the external world, thereby creating a realm of their own within a radius of 10,000 miles surrounding the Fusang tree. Yet, the elder before them had not only entered the starry void silently, but had also traversed into the solar star, and now, astonishingly, had flown into the heart of the primordial grand array surrounding the Fusang tree. Moreover, their mother had just departed when this elder appeared. How could this not astonish the 10 Golden Crows? Your Highnesses need not be alarmed. Just as the 10 Golden Crows were engulfed in uncertainty, the elder finally spoke. He inclined slightly, performing a courteous bow, and with a broad smile, he introduced himself. I am Kuanping, the ancient demon master of the demon race. Honored to meet your esteemed Highnesses. What did you say? Who are you? Upon hearing the words of the elder clad in gray robes, the 10 Golden Crows were left utterly bewildered, and one after another, they exclaimed in surprise. They gazed intently at the elder, their eyes filled with astonishment and disbelief. Their reaction was not due to ignorance of the name Kuanping. On the contrary, they were quite familiar with him. After their own birth, their father had spent a period of time with them. During that time, which was their most tender age, their father, fearing they might be bored, regaled them with tales of the grand events of the primordial era, thereby broadening their horizons and knowledge. Among these tales, the name of the demon master Kuanping had distinctly emerged in their father's narratives. The matter was far from simple. In their eyes, their father was the supreme demon emperor, whose tone was always infused with a majestic pride when discussing all matters, further deepening their reverence for him. However, when the conversation turned to the demon master Kuanping, their father's expression grew considerably solemn, and his voice was imbued with a complex array of emotions: regret, respect, resentment. Initially, they could not comprehend why their father exhibited such peculiarities when mentioning Kuanping. It was only after listening to their father's recounting that they finally understood. The demon master Kuanping was the guiding figure for their father and uncle following their emergence into the world. He was both a teacher and a friend, and it was Kuanping who had imparted the foundational plans for the establishment of the demon race to their father. As a result, in the early days of Hongjun Daozu's teachings, the Kuanping demon master, accompanied by one of their father's innate treasures, ventured into the chaos, never to return. The connection to the artifact vanished entirely, leaving no trace behind. At that time, their father spoke with a tone of certainty, asserting that the Kuanping demon master must have perished within the chaos. Thus, when the 10 little Golden Crows beheld the gray-robed elder before them, claiming to be the very Kuanping demon master, their astonishment and disbelief were palpable. To them, their father's words were irrefutable. Was the elder before them a living being or a specter? Dear young princes, there is no need for alarm. I am indeed the Kuanping you have heard of. The elder said, his face, etched with deep lines, contorted into a rather unappealing smile. In days of yore, I followed the edict of your majesties and entered the chaos, only to inadvertently fall into a distorted cavern and become trapped within. It is only recently that I have managed to escape and see the light of day once more. Upon hearing his explanation, the surprise on the 10 little golden crows' faces gradually subsided. So it is true. I thought I was seeing a ghost. You are indeed fortunate to have returned alive. Old Demon Master, is the chaos truly that perilous? Father spoke of its terrors. We have heard of you, Old Demon Master. Father mentioned your remarkable prowess, claiming your speed surpasses his. Show us. With misunderstandings resolved, the little golden crows began to respond enthusiastically. Some jested with Kunpeng. Others greeted him with politeness, while a few immediately adopted an authoritative demeanor, issuing commands. Observing this scene, Kunpeng's amusement deepened, a fleeting sense of triumph flickering in his gaze. Wait, you claim to be the Old Demon Master Kunpeng? And why do you arrive just after my mother has departed? What is your purpose? At that moment, a voice of skepticism suddenly rang out. This query caught the attention of all 9 little golden crows, their faces once again reflecting wariness as they scrutinized Kunpeng. The one who posed this question was none other than their leader, the eldest of the 10 little golden crows, known as Dia. Indeed, as they had not yet come into the world, the 10 little golden crows had not received formal names. Thus, Emperor Jun and Shiha referred to them by their nicknames. Since the golden crows were golden, 3-legged crows, each little golden crow was named with a homophone of ya, which also connoted the notion of dominance over all beings. The 10 little golden crows took delight in this designation, ordered from eldest to youngest as Dia, Arya, Sanya, and so forth. It was Dia who now questioned the authenticity of Kunpeng's identity and the purpose of his arrival. As the largest among the 10 little golden crows, his intellect was the most agile. The other little golden crows looked up to him as their leader. At this moment, upon hearing his words, they naturally submitted to him without any conditions, all suddenly changing their expressions to one of hostility towards Kunpeng. The abrupt collective shift in demeanor from the 10 little golden crows left Kunpeng utterly bewildered, his face a mask of astonishment. He had not anticipated that these little creatures could change their attitudes so swiftly and skillfully. Just a moment ago, they had been laughing and joking with him. In the next instant, it felt as though he had slain their kin. This left Kunpeng at a loss for words. Once he regained his composure, his gaze fell upon the leader of the 10 little golden crows, realizing that this entire turn of events was instigated by him. If he did not resolve this matter, it would be exceedingly difficult to advance his plans smoothly. It seemed he would need to employ some decisive measures. Brother, do you think Xuandu is capable? Let us not reveal ourselves prematurely. On a star not far from the sun star, 2 figures clad in cassocks, their heads adorned with top knots, cloaked in the power of the saints, concealed themselves. Such a guise of saints, so furtive, could only belong to Jian and Zhuanti. At this moment, they stood upon the surface of this star, their gazes fixed on the direction of the sun star. It was Zhuanti who broke the silence, his expression tense. For this plan was of utmost importance. This was the first step of their scheme. The Kunpeng before the 10 little golden crows was, in truth, an illusion. The real Kunpeng had long since met his demise. The figure they saw was merely Xuandu in disguise. The origins of this ruse traced back to when Xuandu sought them out at the Great Thunder Sound Temple. After solidifying their intent to collaborate, it became necessary for someone to infiltrate the situation. As saints, Jane and Zhuanti could not serve as pawns. Thus, the role of the pawn fell to Xuandu, who had already prepared himself for this undertaking. He had few demands, merely hoping that Jane and Zhuanti could assist him discreetly in addressing any complications that might arise during his impersonation of Kunpeng. To this, Jane and Zhuanti raised no objections, for they were well versed in such matters. Hence, the scene unfolded where Xuandu, disguised as Kunpeng, entered the sun star without hindrance. The formidable and intricate formations laid out by Dijuan were indeed exceptional. However, with Jane and Zhuanti personally aiding him, these formations posed no obstacle to Kunpeng whatsoever. Chapter 281, Xuandu, pretending to be Kunpeng? At this moment, Jane noticed the expression of anxiety on Zhuanti's face and could not help but sigh inwardly. How could his junior brother, now a saint, still exhibit such impatience? Indeed, the grand aspiration of aligning with the Tao to accumulate merit has merely conferred upon the Holy One, Zhuanti, a position of honor. However, the inner state remains, as ever, woefully mundane. There is still much refinement required. It must be acknowledged that, whether in the past or the future, Zhuanti will always be his greatest companion. It seems that in the events to come, not everything should be decided solely by oneself. Zhuanti must also be allowed to stumble. Though such thoughts linger in the mind of Jian, his expression remains serene and untroubled. There is no cause for concern. I find my second senior brother, this disciple, quite commendable. Not to mention his transformative techniques. Even his mimicry of the Kunpeng's demeanor and acting skills are commendable. Let us observe how he entices these 10 golden crows. Jian spoke with a tone devoid of worry, seemingly quite optimistic about Xuandu. Upon seeing this, Zhuanti felt a sense of relief. Since Jian had spoken so, this little nephew Xuandu should not falter. With this thought, he gazed once more at the sun star, eager to witness how Xuandu would address and dispel the doubts posed by the 10 golden crows. As long as this single phase succeeds, then the chaos between the witch and the demon will surely be quelled. On the sun star, the Xuandu masquerading as Kunpeng did not take long to respond to the inquiries from the 10 golden crows. Soon, he turned towards the great prince, offering a slight bow with a smile, saying, "I fully comprehend your concerns, your highness. My identity is, in fact, easily verifiable." As he spoke, he flipped his right hand, revealing a jade tablet that emanated a potent aura of demon energy, inscribed with the words, "Demon Master Kunpeng." Holding the token, Kunpeng addressed the 10 golden crows. Half in jest, half earnestly, this was bestowed by His Majesty. It is through this token that I have been able to unlock the celestial formations and arrive here. With a serious demeanor, he continued, "You, esteemed princes, must understand that without His Majesty's consent, how could I possibly manipulate the grand formations of the celestial bodies? This is indeed the ancestral land of His Majesty." Upon hearing this, the 10 golden crows exchanged glances, some appearing contemplative while others displayed expressions of realization. One exclaimed, "No wonder this ancient demon master could arrive here so quietly. My elder brother was indeed a bit cautious. What he said holds truth. If it were not for the permission of our father, who could command the celestial formations?" Thus, it became apparent that they had been overly suspicious. Many of the young golden crows voiced their agreement. Finally, they all turned their attention to the foremost great prince, for at that moment, he was the only one yet to express his stance, merely fixating on the token held by Kunpeng. Their intention in looking towards the great prince was quite straightforward. Despite their growing belief in Kunpeng, the overarching consensus relied upon the great prince's declaration. In truth, the sudden arrival of the old minister was equally as unexpected as His Majesty's abrupt decision. However, before the great pressure could utter a word, the Kunpeng let out a heavy sigh, his face etched with sorrow and indignation. At this moment, His Majesty is overwhelmed with pressing matters. Yet he is also deeply concerned for all of you, my princes. As one of the earliest followers of His Majesty, I have earned his trust, which grants me the privilege to protect you. Such vague yet laden statements left the 10 little golden crows bewildered. Even the originally skeptical great pressure, upon hearing news regarding his father, could not help but feel anxious. "Master Sorcerer, please enlighten us. What has transpired in the demon realm?" Great pressure inquired urgently, his face betraying his anxiety. The Kunpeng, assuming the role of Xiandu, felt a sense of relief wash over him at this display. He thought to himself, "I nearly revealed the truth to this little beast. Fortunately, I am astute." Indeed, while this little creature appeared clever and perceptive, such insight was limited. After all, it had yet to experience the perils of the mortal world, its mind still remarkably immature. With just a slight manipulation, the other party would fall into his trap. Yet, as he pondered, a look of concern crossed his face. Following a deep sigh, he chose to shroud the truth in mystery, deliberately refraining from answering directly. Instead, he said, "Your highnesses should currently focus on your cultivation and strive for transformation. As for other matters, it is my fault for speaking out of turn. You need not worry about these affairs. I shall not disturb you further and will remain here in the starry sky to guard you." Having spoken, he turned and soared into the heavens. Upon witnessing this, the 10 little golden crows were beside themselves with urgency, flapping their wings and scratching at each other with their claws. "Old sorcerer, do not leave. Please, finish your words. I am desperate to know what has transpired in the heavenly realm. I command you to answer swiftly. If you delay, I shall have my father punish you." They cried out in a chorus of anxiety, including great pressure, who alternated between aggression and supplication. After all, they could see that the Kunpeng had no intention of remaining on the sun star, but rather aimed to return to the stars to protect them, indicating that he posed no threat. Why would they dwell on such thoughts? Furthermore, as the saying goes, concern breeds confusion. At this moment, the 10 little golden crows were solely focused on the safety of their father and the demon clan. Even great pressure had no inclination to question the identity or intentions of the Kunpeng. Hearing the various cries from behind him, the Kunpeng, having flown a distance of 3,000 zhang, hesitated momentarily. He turned to gaze at the 10 little golden crows, his tone tinged with melancholy. "Very well. I shall inform you of the happenings beyond our realm. However, I implore you, esteemed princes, to promise the old minister that you will devote yourselves to your cultivation after hearing my words. After all, if you do not transform and venture out, you will be of no assistance to His Majesty. In fact, you may even find yourselves in peril." He inwardly scoffed. Even if you 10 little fledglings were to transform, you would still be of little help. What purpose would it serve to venture out? To challenge the ancestral witches? Any one of them could extinguish you with a mere finger. If you were to encounter Di Jiang, it would be even worse, with a single thought. The very fabric of space would shatter. But should you cross paths with Xian Ming, you would be frozen into 10 ice sculptures. for she is said to delight in the sound of ice shattering. And if you were to face Zhu Rong, your fate would be dire, as you would undoubtedly be plucked and roasted alive for his feast. Yet upon hearing his words, the 10 little golden crows displayed expressions of shame. Previously, they had harbored doubts about the old demon master, but he remained unconcerned, continually mindful of their safety. This stirred a sense of guilt within the innocent hearts of the 10 little golden crows. Dia stepped forward to pay his respects, stating, "I was disrespectful earlier. Please do not hold it against the demon master. I beseech you, enlighten us about the affairs of the outside world. I assure you, I will ensure my brothers are well disciplined." Chapter 282. The 10 little golden crows are enraged. They will descend to set fire to the witch clan. Sigh, very well. In truth, the current situation of the demon clan is rather unclear. After much pleading from the 10 little golden crows, Kunpeng reluctantly began to recount the events transpiring in the outside world. Presently, the celestial realm is in a state of division. Our clan occupies the 33 heavens. If only we are granted time, we shall undoubtedly become the foremost clan among the myriad of heavens in the primordial chaos. However, upon the earthly realm lies the witch clan, brutish, reckless, and exceedingly vile. Their greed knows no bounds. Not content with merely occupying the land, they have the audacity to covet our clan, launching attacks on the 4 great heavenly gates and provoking us repeatedly. Naturally, the 2 sovereigns could not abide this. Thus they declared war against the witch clan atop Mount Buzhou. It is for this reason that Lady Shihi has gone to provide support. As for me, being advanced in years and trapped in chaos for many years, my vitality has waned, and thus I can only come in place of the lady to safeguard you. Esteemed princess, after Kunpeng concluded his tale, he sighed deeply, gazing into the starry expanse with eyes filled with sorrow and resignation, as if he were an elderly man utterly powerless and devoid of faith in the future of the demon clan. Upon hearing Kunpeng's half-truths, the 10 little golden crows exchanged glances, each reflecting astonishment and fury upon their faces. So it was. Everything stemmed from that witch clan. The witches have been excessively tyrannical towards the demons. Are they not satisfied with occupying the entire land? How dare they audaciously launch assaults on the 4 great heavenly gates? Such audacity! I long to slay that witch clan. No wonder our mother rushed away. She must have known but refrained from speaking to spare us worry. As princes of the demon clan, while our kin are embroiled in battle, we remain holed up on the solar star. I am filled with shame. The 10 little golden crows spoke with fervent excitement. The twin wings beat incessantly, their gazes following the direction of the Kunpeng, peering into the vastness of the starry sky. Evadia felt similarly. Their innate pride instilled within them the belief that they should not hide in such a manner. In this moment, their father and mother, along with the entire demon clan, were embroiled in a fierce battle against the witch clan. Yet, as princes, they found themselves cowering on the sun star. The mere thought surged forth like a mighty river, unstoppable and relentless. Each little golden crow felt an unbearable anguish in their hearts, yearning to unfurl their wings and soar into the cosmos to engage in battle with the witch clan, to assist their father and mother. Even though they were still young, they wished to make all the heavens and myriad races aware that they, the golden crows, were no cowards. Turning around, they gazed deeply at the Kunpeng beyond the starry expanse, their hearts ablaze with excitement. If not for the necessity to adhere to their plans, one of them would have burst into laughter. But they could not. They were so close to taking that final step. Noble princes, do not feel ashamed. You are still young. Regardless of the outcome for the demon clan, you are the hope of our kind. I believe that those colleagues in the heavenly realm share this sentiment. They too will guard you, just as I do. The Kunpeng replied, responding to the sentiments expressed by the 10 little golden crows. However, such provocation, such a tactic of feigned restraint, ignited their emotions like pouring oil on a fire. Master Demon Master, we are princes. How can we cower in fear? They erupted in unison. Demon Master, I wish to descend to the mortal realm. I want to share the burden for our clan and our father. If we merely stand by and watch as our kind is annihilated, what purpose does our survival serve? Are we to await death like the once mighty beast clan? Look at them now. Can they ever rise again? No. Demon Master, I demand to descend. To hell with transformation. I can incinerate the witch clan with the true fire of the sun without transforming. The 10 little golden crows shouted fervently, their feathers standing on end with excitement, each one eager to descend to the mortal realm. Moreover, it was not just mere words. Following their cries, all but Dia, who hesitated slightly, raised their heads and spread their wings, soaring directly toward the starry sky. The golden crows were incredibly swift, reaching the barrier of the Fusang tree formation in the blink of an eye. It was at this moment that they realized something crucial. The formation allowed them control over attack, defense, and support, but Emperor Jun had not granted them permission to leave. Instead, he had imposed restrictions. Without transformation, They could not exit the barrier's confines. In that instant, the numerous golden crows abruptly turned, unwilling to concede, and called out to the Kunpeng. Demon Master, open the formation. Allow us to exit. Old Demon Master, I command you in the name of the second prince of the demon clan to open the formation for us. Kunpeng, open it. Do you dare to obstruct my descent? I shall surely bring you to your end in the future. Esteemed Master of Demons, let us proceed forthwith. The 9 little golden crows refrained from glancing at their elder brother, fearing that he might regain his senses and oppose them. Thus, they all fixated on Kunpeng with reddened eyes, shouting fervently, their voices hoarse from excitement. Their demeanor suggested that if Kunpeng dared to impede them, they would crash headlong into the Fusang tree. Oh dear, your highnesses, what is the meaning of this? Witnessing such a scene, Kunpeng finally seemed to regain his composure, his face etched with a look of distress. He turned to the only golden crow still perched upon the tree, pleadingly exclaiming, Eldest Highness, you had previously promised me. Do not allow your esteemed brothers to act recklessly. Eldest Highness, speak up. In his final plea, he erupted into a roar, his tone filled with regret for the earlier revelations. Truly astonishing. I had not anticipated such theatrical prowess from this young one, managing to ensnare these 10 little rascals in his web of deceit. From a distance, on a celestial body, Zhuan Ti observed this spectacle, unable to contain his applause. His face aglow with mirth. He bestowed high praise upon Xuandu's performance, rating it a commendable 9 out of 10. The only deduction stemmed from the last exclamation, which lacked a measure of emotion. Were it me, my body would tremble, and my words would quaver with more resonance, would they not, brother? As he concluded his critique, Zhuan Ti turned to the side and addressed Jane. However, this lad's ability to reach such heights is commendable in itself. Jane nodded slightly. Yet his gaze remained steadfastly fixed upon the role played by Xuandu as Kunpeng. His thoughts diverged from those of Zhuan Ti, suddenly focusing on Xuandu's lineage. In Jane's perspective, if a being like Xuandu could stand out so distinctly, what of the other primordial human races? Previously overlooked, it seemed that this matter warranted closer scrutiny of humanity. No, a strategy must be devised. By whatever means necessary, humanity must be integrated into the Western Church. The future of humanity is destined for greatness. Fortunately, after millennia of development, humanity has transcended its former state of isolation, signifying a plethora of operational possibilities. Ideally, humanity should also be drawn into this impending calamity of the witch and the lich. Chapter 283, Jane digs a pit, drawing humanity into the fray. As this thought took root, Jane's heart began to swell with excitement, and his mind expanded with possibilities. Humanity has already demonstrated its potential by granting merits to Nuwa and Laozi consecutively, proving itself to be anything but ordinary. In the future, on the vast expanse of the primordial land, it will undoubtedly claim its rightful place among the myriad of races, previously hindered by the presence of the elder brother. Compounded by humanity's retreat into the ancestral grounds of the eastern continent, they found it difficult to take action. Yet now, with humanity branching out and spreading across the primordial realm, how could I have overlooked this before? Is now not the most opportune moment to take action? Indeed, moving forward, once Xuandu's scheme succeeds, it is insufficient for only the lich to be thrown into chaos. I must devise a way to incite turmoil among the human race, drawing them into the fray as well. Thus, the human race will endure suffering. My senior brother is in seclusion, while I can present aid from the Western Church. Is this not the most fortuitous moment? However, I must find a solution to the current guardian of humanity, that little girl from Yaoqi. For millennia, she has maintained control over the ancestral lands of the human race in Bagua City, directing the course of human development. If she is not dealt with first, it will be exceedingly difficult to draw the human race into the Western Church. Nevertheless, as long as she has not attained sainthood, she shall be manageable. As for whether this will offend my senior brother, or whether he will take action against them upon his emergence from seclusion. As these thoughts crossed Jane's mind, a flicker of trepidation appeared in his eyes, though it was swiftly drowned by greed and malice. Both of us have attained sainthood. We are no longer at the mercy of my senior brother as before. The enmity stemming from Yaoqi, which led to the obliteration of Mount Shumi, has yet to be avenged. Moreover, they are currently hindered by grand aspirations, stagnant and unable to progress. No one shall impede their advancement. Once the human race fervently embraces the Western Church and becomes its disciples, it will be entirely their own volition. What concern is it of the Western Church? Senior brother, what are you pondering? This lad, shall we not entice him to the great Thundersound Temple? I genuinely believe this youth is teachable and destined for our Western Church. Beside him, Zhuan Ti, observing Jane's composed demeanor, could not help but speak again, his tone brimming with admiration for Xuandu. He felt that the other's skills could still be refined further. In this regard, I am certain I cannot teach better than him. Furthermore, this youth's talent, courage, an adaptability far surpassed that of the disciples under our tutelage. This stirred Xuanti's old inclinations, making him consider drawing the youth into the Western Church. As long as he is unafraid of the second senior brother, it shall be fine. After being interrupted by Xuanti, Jane finally spoke, responding with irritation. Upon hearing this, Xuanti raised an eyebrow, instinctively glancing around. After several scans of the sacred power, finding no trace of the old one, he lowered his voice to say, "Senior brother, do you truly believe he has restored himself to the realm of the saints?" Jane shook his head, uncertain. After fruitless deliberation, he had grown disinterested in the old one. At this moment, his thoughts were entirely consumed by the impending chaos of the primordial world and how to draw the human race into the Western Church. As for the old one, he could hardly be bothered. He was like a rat, elusive and impossible to find. Who knows what mischief he might be plotting? But in any case, the other party has severed ties with the three pure ones and harbors enmity with the senior brother. In the short term, it is certain that they will not turn against the two of us, but rather collaborate. However, I might have an inkling of where he is hiding to cultivate. The guiding light flickers, and my mind recalls the scenes displayed by Xuandu moments ago, a subtle smile gracing my lips. Upon hearing this, Kunti widened her eyes in astonishment. Where? In the heavenly realm, atop the ancient tree of Fusang. After a brief silence, Daya suddenly lifted his head, and in his gaze towards Kunpeng, there was no longer a trace of conflict, only boundless resolve and determination. Please allow me, despite having breached my promise. We truly wish to contribute to the demon clan, even if just a little. At that moment, Daya, the grand prince of the demon clan, set aside his pride. With his wings folded in reverence, he bowed to the Kunpeng soaring above and proclaimed, his words filled with entreaty and conviction. Your Highness. Oh, Your Highness. How can you compel this old minister so? Kunpeng's body trembled, raising a hand to point at Daya, his voice heavy with sorrow and helplessness. The other little golden crows, witnessing this, mimicked Daya, folding their wings in respect, lowering their noble heads towards Kunpeng, and collectively cried out, "We beseech you, Master Demon, grant us permission to descend and vanquish our foes." In an instant, the harmonious cries of the 10 golden crows reverberated throughout the entire Sun Star. Had it not been for the current dominion of the guiding Kunti over the Sun Star, this sound wave could have echoed across the starry void, reaching the Moon Star. My lords, why must it come to this? Is it not preferable to cultivate diligently on the Sun Star and wait until you transform before engaging in battle? Kunpeng, his tone filled with pleading, addressed the 10 golden crows. Daya raised his head, looking at Kunpeng, his face etched with solemnity. But I fear that by then, it may be too late. This statement left Kunpeng, who had intended to speak, momentarily speechless. He gazed at Daya, then turned to the other 9 golden crows. Alas! Finally, he sighed heavily, abruptly turning to gaze beyond the starry expanse, covering his face with a hand, his voice trembling as he said, very well, very well. Given the current uncertain circumstances, this old minister shall accompany you, my lords. I can only hope that you do not act impulsively upon your departure. Otherwise, even if I were to perish, I would ensure your safe return." Listening to Kunpeng's quivering words and observing his frail silhouette, the 10 little golden crows felt a surge of joy, coupled with a profound respect. They perceived that this old demon master was truly loyal to their father. Unbeknownst to them, the turned-away Kunpeng struggled to conceal the smile that threatened to break free from his lips, and the tremor in his voice was not one of sorrow, but rather the thrill of a scheme coming to fruition. "Rest assured, Master Demon, we shall be obedient this time." "Indeed, Master Demon. I have devised a plan. We shall stealthily infiltrate the rear of the Witch Clan and set fire to it before swiftly departing. This is our inaugural descent to the mortal realm, and we shall certainly comply. So please rest assured, Master Demon. We shall descend quietly, incinerate the Witch Clan, and return unnoticed. Father will remain oblivious. Let us proceed, Master Demon." Listening to the urging of those little rascals behind, Kunpeng suppressed a smile and signaled discreetly towards the outside of the Sun Star. With a swift motion of his sleeve, he summoned the 10 little golden crows. A gust of demonic wind arose, sweeping the 10 little golden crows into the air, soaring towards the outer reaches of the Sun Star. At the moment they crossed the protective barrier of the formation, the shield trembled violently, but an invisible force enveloped it, restoring calm in an instant. At that moment, Kunpeng, accompanied by the 10 little golden crows, retracted all traces of their presence and flew towards the primal land beneath the starry sky. Chapter 284, the second step of the plan, ambushing the 10 golden crows. Ha! It worked. Brother, that fellow Xuandu is indeed remarkable, especially his performance at the end. It rivals my own prowess before achieving sanctification. Within the nameless stars, upon witnessing Xuandu, disguised as Kunpeng, departing from the Sun Star with the 10 little golden crows, Xuanti exclaimed with unrestrained joy. However, Jiejing remained solemn and did not respond, for he was focused on wielding the power of a sage to envelop Xuandu and the 10 little golden crows. Although Dijuan had yet to attain sanctification, his mastery of formations left Jiejing in awe. In this starry expanse, layers of formations intertwined, creating a complexity that was bewildering. Without the power of a sage, it would have been exceedingly difficult for him to discreetly escort the 10 little golden crows away from the Sun Star. Nevertheless, Jiejing remained vigilant, his focus unwavering. The sage's power trailed closely behind Xuandu and the 10 little golden crows. After all, while they had concealed their presence, even other celestial saints of the same realm would struggle to discern their location. Yet, caution is always prudent. Who knows if Nuwa, Yuan Shi, or Tong Tian might fortuitously traverse the starry expanse and cross paths with them. Thus, Jiejing refrained from answering Zhuanti and carefully followed Xuandu. Observing this, Zhuanti also tempered his excitement and closely trailed behind. In this manner, the dual powers of the sages enveloped Xuandu and the 10 little golden crows, allowing them to traverse the starry space without incident or surprise. Throughout this process, not a single formation rune was disturbed, nor did any beings in the starry expanse take notice. Under the cover of the sage's power, their physical forms became invisible, their auras entirely absent, and their secrets effectively concealed. Even if Xuandu and the 10 little golden crows appeared before the denizens of the starry realm, they would remain unseen. Moreover, Jiejing was exceedingly cautious. Prior to the journey, Xuandu had been informed of the path to take. Throughout the voyage, he encountered no one. Xuandu urged them to hasten, insisting they adhere strictly to the plan and lead them to the territory of the Witch Clan in the northern continent. Changxi had already departed from the Tying Star. It was imperative to complete their mission before her arrival at the Sun Star. At that moment, Xuandu, who had just descended from the starry sky with 10 little golden crows, suddenly heard a voice in his mind calling for guidance. His heart raced. Although the most crucial aspect of the plan had been fulfilled, stirring the 10 little golden crows' animosity toward the Witch Clan and bringing them out into the cosmos, Xuandu remained vigilant. Changxi had set off. They truly needed to accelerate. Should she discover the disappearance of the little golden crows on the Sun Star, it might alert Dijuan, jeopardizing the entire plan. After all, these were pure-blooded golden crows, 10 of them. Even Dijuan might never again be able to sire such a lineage. Contemplating this, Xuandu increased his speed manifold, soaring towards the northern continent. Before the plan commenced, he had conferred with Jiejing and Zhuanti countless times, simulating various scenarios and meticulously calculating every possible outcome. The second step of the plan involved provoking the 10 little golden crows to seek trouble with the Witch Clan. This trouble needed to strike at the very heart of the Witch Clan, inflicting significant harm. Moreover, it was essential for the Witch Clan to realize that the little golden crows were the instigators, thus fostering a deep-seated enmity between the two parties. Ultimately, the aim was for all 10 little golden crows to perish at the hands of the Witch Clan. Throughout this process, the greater the commotion, the better. The more powerful beings who became aware, the more advantageous it would be. With so many intertwining conditions, the second step of the plan was undoubtedly arduous. For instance, which Witch Clan tribe should the 10 little golden crows target? Which clan possessed the capability to slay them? Hence, before the plan unfolded, Jiejing undertook extensive simulations, eliminating numerous Witch Clan tribes. Ultimately, considering the alignment of time, place, and circumstances, they selected a prominent Witch Clan tribe in the northern continent known as the Kwafu Grand Witch Tribe. Simultaneously, beneath Mount Buzhou, in the ancestral land of the Witch Clan, within the Grand Hall of the Daijang Grand Witch Tribe, the voice of the Daijang Grand Witch echoed with reprimands. Zhurong, what do you mean by blocking Mount Buzhou? There are countless cultivators atop that mountain. How can the Witch Clan behave so tyrannically? Seated upon an ancient stone throne, Daijang gazed discontentedly at Zhurong, having just learned that Zhurong had led his subordinate Grand Witches to seal off Mount Buzhou. What kind of behavior was this? Although Mount Buzhou was indeed the transformed spine of their father god, although the vast expanse of the primordial land is under the dominion of their Witch Clan, and their ancestral grounds stand firm beneath Mount Buzhou, these factors do not justify Zhurong's unilateral decision to seal the mountain. Amidst his reprimands, he could not help but feel a sense of vigilance. As the saying goes, history serves as a mirror, revealing the rise and fall of powers. Was it not the case that the three divine beasts once ruled with arrogance? Ultimately, at the height of their power, they fell victim to Raha's treachery, leading to the near annihilation of their tribes. Countless years have passed, and the Witch Clan has supplanted the three divine beasts, ascending to a peak of dominance. With billions of clan members, they now face a plethora of emerging issues. Initially, their behavior was merely brutish and tyrannical. However, now, several ancestral witches, along with their formidable subordinates, have begun to swell with arrogance, disregarding others. If this trend is not curtailed, The fate of the Witch clan is unlikely to be more favorable than that of the three divine beasts. Therefore, upon learning of this situation, Emperor Jiang promptly emerged from his seclusion and summoned several brothers involved in this matter, intending to deliver a stern admonishment. No, it was not merely a reprimand. He aimed to make them acutely aware of the gravity of the situation and to extinguish this arrogance. At that moment, Zhu Rong, confronted with his elder brother's scolding, sat obediently upon the stone seat, exhibiting a demeanor of submissiveness. This was not an act. He genuinely feared Emperor Jiang. As the foremost among the 12 ancestral witches, the elder brother was like a father to him. Emperor Jiang's authority was deeply ingrained within the very essence of the other ancestral witches. Throughout the years, whatever Emperor Jiang decreed, the others obeyed without dissent. Yet, at this juncture, after nodding repeatedly, Zhu Rong could not help but mutter, "Elder brother, do not place all the blame on me. This matter was not solely my doing. My other brothers have been complicit as well." As he spoke, he cast desperate glances at the nearby ancestral witches, urging them to intercede and share the burden of their elder brother's wrath. However, the other ancestral witches treated his pleas with indifference. Some stared blankly at the ceiling, others focused intently on the floor tiles, while a few tilted their bodies to examine the armrests of the stone seat. Witnessing this scene, Zhu Rong's temper flared. Chapter 285. The belligerent 6 ancestral witches boom. In an instant, Zhu Rong could no longer contain his fiery temper. Blazing flames erupted from his being, igniting the stone seat beneath him. Its original obsidian hue transformed into a fiery red, nearly white, with heat. Zhu Rong possessed an innate affinity for fire, not merely as an elemental attribute, but as the very essence of the 4 primordial fires. Thus, he had always struggled to manage his temper. A single disagreement could lead to explosive confrontations. The root of his current ire was rather simple. He felt his brothers were lacking in loyalty. Once, the decision to seal the mountains and obstruct the ascension of the myriad races, particularly the demon clans, was a consensus reached by several brothers who could not tolerate the demons. They sought to observe how the demon clan would react, to see if they dared to resist. Should they choose to do so, the plan was to seize the opportunity and storm the southern heavenly gate, thereby claiming the well-developed heavens for themselves and achieving complete dominion over the realms. These ideas were not solely the initiative of Zhu Rong. Rather, they were the result of a conspiracy among several brothers summoned by Di Jiang. Although the command to seal the mountains was issued by Zhu Rong, the shamanic clan under his command was also involved. What, then, was the outcome? The unmoving mountain was sealed. The demon clan withered, retreating into seclusion. When the eldest brother reprimanded them, the others shrank back like turtles, leaving Zhu Rong to bear the brunt of the elder brother's wrath. How could he endure such indignation? Moreover, he secretly derided his brothers for their foolishness. The several ancestral shamans who had come from the palace were precisely those who conspired with him. In contrast, the other uninformed ancestral shamans had not been summoned by the eldest brother, indicating his clear awareness of their plans. At such a critical juncture, how could these brothers continue to cower or feign ignorance? Zhu Rong was unwilling to relent. His anger flared momentarily, but just as swiftly extinguished, quelled by a mere glance from Di Jiang. That singular gaze was akin to an invisible deluge, dousing the flames of his ire. Eldest brother, these cowardly souls stirred me to seal the mountains. Zhu Rong's anger subsided, and though he dared not meet Di Jiang's eyes, he still pointed accusingly at the other ancestral shamans. Do you think I am oblivious? Di Jiang did not disappoint Zhu Rong. He turned his gaze upon the other brothers who were feigning death. None of them were a source of comfort. Do not think I am unaware that you are preoccupied with thoughts of slaughter. Now, among the vast expanse of primordial earth, the formidable clans have been driven back to their minor worlds by your actions. And now, finding no worthy adversaries, you seek to strike at the demon clan. At that moment, under Di Jiang's scrutiny, the other ancestral shamans could no longer maintain their pretense. Apart from Zhu Rong, there were 5 other ancestral shamans present in the palace. The formidable Shangliang, who commanded the laws of thunder, Gong Gong, who governed the laws of water, Ru Shou, who wielded the laws of gold, Zhu Jiuyin, the master of temporal laws, and Shi Bai Shi, who controlled the laws of poison. They were among the most combative of the 12 ancestral shamans, yet now they sat like quails, heads bowed, hands resting on their knees, obediently perched upon their stone seats. Di Jiang's words resonated deeply with their thoughts. The reasons for striking at the demon clan were twofold. Firstly, there were truly no territories left in the primordial expanse that captured their interest. The 12 ancestral shaman tribes and countless large and small shaman clans were scattered across the entirety of the primordial world. Aside from the barren land of the west, the Witch clan holds it in utter disdain, let alone allowing their offspring to dwell there, for such a venture would only subject them to suffering. In stark contrast lies the realm of the heavenly 3,000-fold heavens, once a land without a master, abundant in resources and fraught with peril. With its vast expanse, it now stands as a fertile paradise, enriched by the diligent efforts of the Demon Clan. Given the Witch Clan's rapid proliferation, which shows no signs of abating, the acquisition of this domain would provide ample land and resources for their continued survival. This motivation serves as the primary rationale behind the sealing of the mountains by the ancestor witches, a measure taken for the greater good of their kin. The second reason, as articulated by Emperor Jiang, is one of personal ambition and a penchant for warfare. Among the 12 ancestor witches, figures such as Zhu Rong, Chang Liang, Gong Gong, Ru Shou, Zhu Jiuyin, and Shi Baishe are notably belligerent. Since the inception of the Witch Clan, they have wielded their might to conquer the myriad tribes of the primordial lands. It is essential to remember that at that time, the cataclysm of the dragon and Han had just concluded, plunging the primordial realm into chaos, with countless tribes vying for territory and resources. Yet now, the formidable clans have been driven back to their respective realms by the Witch Clan, leaving only the weaker races as vassals under their dominion. Consequently, in the hearts of most ancestor witches and the Witch Clan itself, might is deemed the supreme principle, and their inherent nature leans toward aggression. The impetus for sealing the mountains also stemmed from the disconcerting fact that their vassal tribes were becoming increasingly tempted by the Demon Clan's overtures, with some even contemplating mass migration to the summit of Mount Buzhou to join them. Initially, Zhu Rong and the other ancestor witches may have dismissed one or two instances, but the situation escalated as more and more minor tribes chose to align themselves with the demons. They even witnessed many once subjugated beings from the larger clans emerging from their realms, seeking to ascend the southern heavenly gate to join the Demon Clan. This betrayal incensed Zhu Rong and the other ancestor witches, for the defection of their vassal tribes to the demons posed a significant threat. The prospect of the Demon Clan growing in power loomed over them like a sword of Damocles. In a fit of rage, they resolved to seal the mountains, thereby preventing any beings from joining the demons. Initially, they believed that by proactively sealing Mount Buzhou, the Demon Clan would feel pressured and retaliate, allowing them to, once again, eradicate the demons and reclaim dominion over the heavenly realm, thereby demonstrating to all the multitudes that the Witch Clan remains the preeminent sovereign of the primordial lands. However, what transpired? They found no retaliation from the Demon Clan. Instead, they awaited the closure of the 4 great gates of the Demon Clan, which left them feeling immensely frustrated. At this moment, confronted by the reprimand of Emperor Jiang, the 6 ancestral witches could no longer contain themselves. Eldest brother, we acknowledge our failure to inform you in advance. Indeed, we are at fault, yet we have not erred in our intentions. Indeed, the Demon Clan has overstepped their bounds, compelling our vassal clans to join their ranks. Is this not a slap in our faces? Our clan's reproductive rate is astonishingly rapid. Should we seize the heavenly realm, our numbers could double. Eldest brother, if the Demon Clan dares to manipulate our vassal tribes today, tomorrow they shall not hesitate to encroach upon the lands of the Witch Clan. Eldest brother, we act with the greater good in mind, spoke the other 5 ancestral witches, excluding Zhu Rong. They believed that their eldest brother had been secluded for too long, unaware of the current affairs outside. However, they were confident that once their words were spoken, he would surely support them. After all their actions were aimed at the resurgence of the Witch Clan, were they not? Chapter 286. The incineration of the Kwa Fu Great Witch Tribe, while Emperor Jiang scolded the 6 ancestral witches, unbeknownst to them. A colossal conspiracy was looming over the Witch Clan. At this moment, in the northern continent, under the escort of Jin and Junti, Xiandu, embodying the Kunpeng, soared through the skies, finally arriving at a great witch tribe at an altitude of 10,000 zhang. In truth, while his speed was commendable, it paled in comparison to that of the Kunpeng. But what did it matter? Who could perceive him? 10 small golden crows remained nestled within the confines of his sleeve. Furthermore, they were oblivious to the true might of the Kunpeng. At this juncture, Xiandu hovered high above, gazing down upon the vast expanse of the great witch tribe, which was bustling with activity during the day. From his vantage point, the densely packed witch clan resembled a swarm of ants. Confirming that it was indeed the Kwa Fu Great Witch Tribe, Xiandu scanned the surrounding billowing white clouds. At that moment, Jane's voice reached his ears. Noble nephew, release them. We are prepared. Upon hearing these words, Xiandu exhaled in relief. The reason he had refrained from releasing the 10 small golden crows immediately was his concern that Emperor Jun may have placed some restrictions upon them. If he were to release them suddenly, and the other party sensed it, their plan would be doomed before it even commenced. Thus, he awaited Jane's cue. Moreover, the words spoken were not I, but we. With 2 saints providing escort, at this moment, the plan appeared far more effortless and secure than he had envisioned. Without further hesitation, he composed himself, raised his right hand, and released the 10 small golden crows from the space within his sleeve. They're finally out. We were on edge. Wow, is this the primordial land? So refreshing. It is entirely different from the Sunstar. The spiritual energy here harbors a multitude of diverse attributes. Master Sorcerer, you are rather slow. I nearly succumbed to slumber. Huh, where's this place? What lies below? Wow, is that the cloud? So pristine. And the greenery beneath. Bursting with colors. As the 10 little golden crows were released, they immediately erupted with excitement, their faces illuminated with wonder as they gazed around, exclaiming incessantly. Xiandu, irritated, rubbed his ears, feeling an involuntary disdain. It is quite noisy. Were it not for the protective power of the guiding and enlightening saints that envelopes us, the witch clan below would remain oblivious to our presence and their voices. Otherwise, this cacophony would surely rouse the attention of the witch clan. Despite his inner displeasure, Xiandu maintained a solemn expression. Noble princes, please quiet down. We are situated high above the northern continent of the primordial land. My treasures conceal our presence. Yet we must exercise caution to avoid alarming the witch clan below. Xiandu spoke first, silencing the chatter of the 10 golden crows. Upon hearing his words, the little crows fell silent, their eyes sparkling with excitement. They found this exhilarating. The Master Sorcerer is truly remarkable, having brought them to hover above the witch clan without causing a stir. Soon, they could launch a surprise attack on the witch clan, achieving fame in battle. They would ensure that all beings in the primordial expanse recognize the renown of the 10 princes of the demon clan. They also wished to make it known to all demons that they, the 10 golden crows, are the sons of Emperor June. Even in their youth, they could slay the witch clan, contribute to the demon clan, and alleviate their father's burdens. With such thoughts, the 10 little golden crows were overwhelmed with excitement, some even igniting with golden flames. They were all eager to take flight and unleash their fire. Yet, they restrained their battle fervor, gazing at the venerable sorcerer before them with expressions of trust and gratitude. Excellent. Seeing the 10 golden crows so obedient, Kunpeng nodded, revealing a look of satisfaction. However, he retained a serious demeanor and spoke with a tone of concern. Noble princes, once you engage, you will disrupt the concealment effect of my treasures. To ensure your safety, we must act swiftly. In 10 breaths, I shall take you away. You must promise me, leave in 10 breaths. Do not linger in battle. Should you refuse, I shall escort you back this very moment. Kunpeng's tone was grave, tinged with an undeniable authority. Yet, upon hearing his words, the 10 little golden crows felt no resentment. Rather, warmth filled their hearts. For what did this signify? The demon masters are indeed deeply concerned for their safety. Fear not. Dear demon masters, we have all agreed not to act recklessly. I shall also diligently guide my younger brothers. Dia was the first to express his commitment. The other little golden crows echoed in agreement. Yes, demon masters, rest assured, you have permitted us to descend to the mortal realm, and we shall certainly obey. 10 breaths may seem rather brief, yet having spoken thus, I shall fulfill my promise. Just 10 breaths. With our true solar flames, 10 breaths will suffice. Indeed, the true solar flames can ignite all things. Although this tribe appears vast, we need only to divide our efforts to achieve the maximum area of incineration. Having received the assurances from the 10 little golden crows, Xiandu was overwhelmed with excitement as he beheld their fervent expressions. Just one step. Only one step remains for my success. Excellent. I shall now lower the barrier. You must descend immediately. After 10 breaths, you must return here. Upon hearing Xiandu's words, the 10 little golden crows nodded once more, and with a wave of his right hand, the sacred power enveloping them suddenly dissipated. Their figures emerged amidst the clouds, no longer concealed in the slightest. Whoosh! Attack! True solar flames. Burn all these coarse and uncouth witch clans to ashes. How dare these wretched witches provoke our demon race? Let them perish. The moment they revealed themselves, the 10 little golden crows emitted piercing cries. Simultaneously, golden flames erupted from their bodies. In an instant, they transformed into 10 miniature suns, hurtling towards the 10 directions of the Kwafu tribe. Below, countless witch clan members in the Kwafu tribe looked up. At this moment, they finally heard the chilling cries echoing above them. Yet before they could comprehend the situation, the 10 miniature suns descended upon the tribe like meteors. Boom, boom, boom. The deafening roar of explosions erupted, and 10 massive golden flames detonated within the witch clans, forming mushroom clouds. Many of the witch soldiers and commanders, caught off guard, were mercilessly consumed by the all-consuming true solar flames. Fire! Quickly extinguish the flames. No, this is demon fire. The demon race is attacking. Damn it! This fire cannot be extinguished. Quickly summon the ancestral witch. Mother! Hurry! Someone, save me, mother! In that moment, countless cries of anguish, roars of fury, and sounds of despair reverberated throughout the entire Kwafu tribe. Everything transpired far too swiftly. In the blink of an eye, much of the Kwafu tribe had plunged into a sea of flames. The tribe's structures were constructed from local materials, earthen houses, stone dwellings, and wooden huts. Yet regardless of the material, once tainted by the sun's true fire, all transforms into fuel, wildly expanding the Inferno's domain. Who could it be? At that moment, a furious roar erupted from within the tribe, momentarily halting the flames. In the next instant, a figure emerged from the heart of the tribe's grand palace. Towering and robust, he wielded a peachwood staff. This was none other than the tribe's leader, the great shaman Kwafu. At that moment, Kwafu gazed upon the raging inferno, listening to the anguished cries, his visage a portrait of fury and shock. He had been immersed in his cultivation when he suddenly felt a violent tremor, akin to an earth dragon stirring. Before he could comprehend the disturbance, the wails from outside reached his ears. Upon stepping out, he beheld the children of his tribe ensnared within the flames. This revelation filled Kwafu with both astonishment and unbridled rage. He was astounded that the witch tribe, at the zenith of its power, reigning as the sovereign of the primordial land, could be so brazenly attacked. Who would dare assault the witch tribe? Moreover, it was not a minor witch clan, but his own esteemed witch tribe. Before he could fully grasp the situation, his pupils contracted and trembled as he discerned the identity of the assailants. Within the inferno, 10 miniature suns ascended, incessantly spewing golden flames in all directions. The brilliance of these small suns was blinding, rendering them nearly impossible for ordinary eyes to behold. Yet, Kwafu pierced through the radiant blaze and beheld the silhouettes of the three-legged golden crows. In that instant, everything became clear. The three-legged golden crows, descendants of the bloodline of Emperor Jun and Tai, though he was unaware of when Emperor Jun and Tai had sired offspring. Such details were inconsequential. Filled with seething rage, Kwafu bellowed, "Cursed beasts! It is you wretched creatures!" Simultaneously, he thrust his peachwood staff forcefully into the ground. In an instant, countless verdant vines surged forth from beneath the earth. Each vine resembled a mighty dragon, executing their tasks with precision. Some ensnared the witches of the tribe, casting them outward, while others lashed toward the 10 golden crows. Ha! Here it comes. Excellent. It has succeeded. High above, concealed by the power of the saints. Xuandu beheld this scene with unbridled ecstasy. The emergence of the great shaman Kwafu signaled the nearing conclusion of his plan. It was time for him to withdraw. With this thought, he vanished in a flash. At this point, only half of the 10 breaths agreed upon with the 10 golden crows had elapsed. Chapter 287. The Great Shaman Kwafu, Restraint. It appears you are their leader. As Kwafu moved to rescue the witches, the 10 golden crows immediately took notice. They had been ablaze with fervor, the sun's true fire pouring forth without restraint. As I gazed upon the flames consuming the feeble sorcerers, reducing them to ashes, I observed the more formidable sorcerers writhing in agony under the scorching embrace of the sun's true fire. Even the mightier lesser sorcerers could only temporarily withstand the sun's blaze. Yet extinguishing it was beyond their capabilities. The 10 little golden crows reveled in this spectacle, relishing the thrill of it all. However, before they could fully indulge, a thunderous roar echoed, and enormous vines emerged, rescuing the sorcerers from the inferno. It was then that they beheld a towering figure manifesting in the center of the tribe, casting a fierce glare in their direction. Despite the imposing presence of the great sorcerer Kwafu, the 10 little golden crows felt little trepidation. For all the immense vitality radiating from him, his physical prowess appeared formidable, yet not overwhelmingly so. They sensed no terrifying power emanating from Kwafu, only the vibrant energy of the laws of wood. The colossal vines, though numerous and grand, remained merely vines. Had they been embodiments of the laws of water or other destructive forces, they might have instilled a modicum of fear. But the laws of wood? Their insatiable sun's true fire craved it. Burn a vine, and they would. Curse you, wretched beasts! Why do you treat my kin in such a manner? Witnessing some sorcerers being rescued, Kwafu finally summoned the strength to confront the golden crows. As he bellowed, 10 massive vines erupted from the earth, akin to green serpents, striking fiercely toward the 10 golden crows. Yet, to Kwafu's astonishment, these vines were incinerated into ash before they could reach their targets. What manner of flame is this? A flicker of astonishment crossed Kwafu's distressed visage. He was, after all, an ancient and formidable sorcerer, having achieved a significant mastery of the laws of wood. Mere steps away from complete transcendence. Few in his realm could rival his sorcery or the potency of his laws. To his dismay, the flames of these lesser creatures proved overwhelmingly powerful, effectively countering his sorcery and authority over the laws. These golden flames might well rank among the top 10 true fires. Yet, even in the face of such adversity, Kwafu harbored no intention of retreat. 1 vine was insufficient. He would summon 10. If 10 were not enough, then 100. He refused to believe that these small creatures possessed an endless supply of fire. Resolute in his conviction, he stomped his feet, feeling a slight decrease in his vitality. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, the earth trembled violently as countless vines, even larger than before, surged from the ground, breaking through the soil and creating an opening in the fiery expanse. Towards the 10 small golden crows, they charged with ferocity. Indeed, they struck. If the previous vines resembled massive serpents, then these vines were akin to mighty dragons, both in size and in number, their movements even more agile. Caution! Upon witnessing this scene and sensing the formidable power emanating from the dragon-like vines, the leader of the 10 small golden crows, Dia, was startled and let out a sharp cry. With a powerful sweep of his wings, he unleashed a tempest in conjunction with the true flames of the sun, hurling it towards the descending vines. Simultaneously, he shot upwards like an arrow released from its bow, ascending toward the heavens. The other 9 small golden crows, in perfect harmony, emulated Dia's actions. As they summoned hurricanes to intertwine with the sun's true fire to block the vines, they also soared into the sky, gathering at an altitude of 1,000 jang. They gazed downward, their eyes filled with gravity. 10 gusts of wind, infused with the sun's true fire, collided with the dragon-like vines. Though they ignited, the sheer magnitude of the vines allowed them to heal incessantly, rendering the flames incapable of reducing them to ashes in a short span. Witnessing this, the 10 small golden crows were taken aback, secretly acknowledging the narrow escape. Had they not followed their elder brother's example and ascended, those vines might have indeed struck them. Was this the true might of the great shaman of the Witch Clan? It was said that within the Witch Clan, the great shamans represented the pinnacle of combat prowess, with 12 ancestral shamans above them, and the number of great shamans reaching into the hundreds. No wonder the demon sorcerer claimed that the demon race was no match for the Witch Clan. No wonder even the emperor could not contend with the ancestral shamans. If a single great shaman was this formidable, what of the ancestral ones? Contemplating this, a sense of crisis and trepidation welled up within the hearts of the 10 small golden crows, including Dia. They had previously ambushed the Witch Clan. Witnessing them perish in flames, seemingly powerless against the true fire of the sun, they had assumed the Witch Clan to be weak. Now, however, it was evident that they had underestimated the witches. The time has come. We must depart. With a sense of urgency, Dia spoke without hesitation. From the sudden ambush to the appearance of Kwa Fu, and now to their evasion at such heights, the entire sequence of events, though intricate, had transpired in less than 10 breaths. Had Kwa Fu not intervened, the 10 golden crows would have been reveling in the act of incineration. But now, the emergence of danger demanded an excuse for retreat. Upon uttering these words, the other small golden crows did not hesitate. The great shamans indeed possess significant power. Not much weaker than us. Retreat. Obey. The demon sorcerer awaits us. Once we transform, the might of the sun's true fire will intensify, and we shall return to scorch him. Depart. With their banter concluded, the 10 small golden crows took flight without a moment's regret. Soaring towards the vast heights that had just descended, they felt a twinge of apprehension regarding the formidable Kwa Fu below. Yet, to be candid, there was little panic in their hearts. After all, they were under the protection of the demon master above them. Regardless of the circumstances, he was a quasi-saint. Did they truly feel any pressure in confronting a great shaman? However, as they lifted their gazes skyward, they were rendered speechless. Above, the clouds were resplendently white, the sky an exquisite blue, yet there was no sign of the demon master. How amusing. Look at their expressions. These young wretches have finally come to grasp the treacheries of the mortal realm. How fascinating, truly delightful. Within the grand hall of the Great Thunder Sound Temple on Mount Shumi, Zhuan Ti sat upright at the entrance, pointing towards the distance and laughing heartily. As the cunning plan of Xuandu came to fruition, the 2 Buddhas swiftly returned to Mount Shumi. It was imperative to conceal their presence. At this moment, neither the witch nor the demon tribes had been alerted. Should they be disturbed while observing from the outside, it would pose a risk. This was not due to fear of being discovered by the witch or demon tribes. No, the ants beneath the saints would find it far from easy to detect their whereabouts. Rather, they feared being noticed by figures such as Nuwa, Yuanshi, and Tongtian. Thus, when the 10 small golden crows emerged to assault the witch tribe, the 2 Buddhas returned to Mount Shumi to observe the battle. Witnessing Kwa Fu engage in combat with the 10 small golden crows filled Zhuan Ti with immense joy. From that point on, should there be any casualties, the witch and demon tribes would not rest until one was annihilated. He doubted that Dijuan could continue to keep the 4 heavenly gates sealed, and even less that Dijiao could suppress the wrath of the witch tribe. The time for great conflict was nigh. Where has that rascal Xuandu gone? As Zhuan Ti laughed, Jane, who was similarly observing, suddenly frowned and inquired. Upon hearing this, Zhuan Ti's pupils trembled, his eyes shining with Buddhist light as he scanned the vicinity of the Kwa Fu tribe. even extending his gaze to encompass the entirety of the northern continent. The next moment, he was struck dumb, for he, too, could not discern Xuandu's presence. Xuandu had vanished. Chapter 288. Has Kunpeng disappeared? Who claims that the witch tribe is savage? How could this be possible? This fellow's speed is evidently quite slow. In such a brief period, he could not have escaped the northern continent. Yet, I am utterly incapable of tracing his whereabouts. Zhu Ti spoke with grave seriousness to Jane. At this moment, Jane had already raised his hands, his fingers moving slightly as he commenced his calculations. However, after merely a breath, he lowered his hands and shook his head slightly. The heavenly secrets are also obscured. Zhu Ti's eyes widened. If the absence of his figure and aura was one matter, the concealment of the heavenly secrets, coupled with his senior brother's inability to deduce anything, made this situation quite intriguing. Could it be that the second senior brother has truly returned to the realm of saints? Zhu Ti's expression grew solemn. Only this possibility can elucidate why Xuandu could suddenly vanish, just as he had previously appeared out of nowhere. Upon hearing Zhu Ti draw this conclusion, Jie could only sigh in resignation and nod slightly. Even he could not conceive of any alternative explanations. Only a sage could achieve such feats right under their noses. Consequently, Jie and Zhu Ti felt a tinge of disappointment. The excitement over the impending confrontation between the witch and the lich had significantly waned. Each sage occupies a singular position, with 9 in total. Losing one leaves only 8. Their master occupies one of those, leaving 7, precisely enough for each of the 7 brothers to claim one. The fall of the sage left them envious of that position. It matters not that the two sides had already formed an alliance. Cooperation cannot rival the control over a sage. Thus, upon concluding that their master had restored himself to the sage realm, Zhu Ti and Jie could not help but feel profoundly disheartened. Well, since he has indeed reclaimed his status as a sage, he is entitled to collaborate with us, Jie murmured, then shifted his gaze back to the Kuafu tribe. The brewing conflict between the witch and the lich remained paramount. Regardless, this collaboration with their master Xuandu was nearing its conclusion. Oh no, it was not yet over. There remained one final step. Both Kuafu and the Golden Crow must die. Upon hearing this, Zhu Ti dismissed any further thoughts and also turned his attention to the Kuafu tribe. Still trying to escape? You killed my child, and yet you wish to flee? You shall all perish. In the heart of the tribe, Kuafu's eyes burned crimson with fury as he beheld 10 golden crows intercepting his witchcraft with a fiery tempest, soaring at an astonishing speed into the skies. As he roared in anger, a vine erupted from beneath him, growing at a breathtaking pace, lifting his form ever higher. Simultaneously, the enormous vines, previously engulfed by the fiery whirlwind, extinguished the true flames of the sun, shooting skyward. 100 zhong, 300 zhong, 900 zhong. These vines surged forth as if invigorated, like towering pillars reaching toward the heavens, chasing the 10 golden crows above. On the primordial earth, there existed a supreme innate spiritual root known as the Jianmu, towering as high as the unyielding mountain, reaching towards the heavens. However, these vines were unlike Jianmu. They were not spirits of flora, but were entirely transformed by the wood laws of the great witch Kuafu. Such an abundance of towering vines represented a tremendous drain on Kuafu, yet in this moment, he paid no mind to the cost. All he knew was, these beasts, which devastate his tribe and incinerate the children of his shaman clan, must not escape. Regardless of the circumstances, he is determined to exact vengeance. Alas, he finds himself restrained. His sorcery is effective against terrestrial and aquatic creatures, but when it comes to avian beings, its potency diminishes significantly. Thus, he is compelled to employ this laborious and resource-draining method to pursue the golden crows. How he wishes the great shaman Ho-E were present. At this moment, the 10 little golden crows have already soared to an altitude of 3,000 zhong. Gazing at the empty expanse of the sky above and hearing the furious roars and the sound of vines slicing through the air from below, the 10 little golden crows, still in a state of bewilderment, instinctively lowered their heads to investigate the source of the noise. What they beheld sent them into a state of shock. What? He has actually caught up. Does his wood principle not require consumption? How can he be so swift? No. Where's the shaman? Where has the esteemed shaman gone? Have we flown to the wrong place? Eldest brother, what shall we do? The shaman is missing. Cursed be this situation. We have no idea where we are. What do we do now? The numerous little golden crows could not help but cry out in panic, which in turn greatly diminished their ascent speed. Originally, with the quasi-saint Kunpeng guarding them in the skies, the 10 little golden crows felt entirely at ease. No matter the chaos, there was always someone to support them. Yet, now the Kunpeng shaman, who was supposed to await them in the heights, is nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, the relentless Kuafu pursues them with reckless abandon. In this moment, the 10 little golden crows truly feel a sense of panic. despite their earlier ferocity as they unleashed the blazing sunfire upon the Shaman clan. When faced with Kwafu's pursuit and reduced to prey, terror reigns in their hearts. After all, this is their first descent to the mortal realm, thrust into this unfamiliar environment, utterly oblivious to their surroundings and direction. Even the leader among them, Daya, is stricken with alarm. However, he is still the eldest brother, the firstborn of Emperor Jun. After but a fleeting moment of fear, he quickly regains his composure and shouts, "Silence! Everyone be quiet. Fly upwards with all your might. Do not look down. Heed my command and ascend." Saying this, he slows his pace, positioning himself at the rear of the other golden crows, then suddenly turns around and spits downwards. Boom! A burst of sunfire erupts from his mouth, hurling towards the pursuing Kwafu below. It must be noted that within the bloodline of the golden crows, there exist other magical abilities. Yet, one must recognize that their cultivation is still far too weak. Otherwise, why would Emperor Jun repeatedly warn them and even impose restrictions, insisting they must transform before venturing into the world? The Golden Crow bloodline is indeed powerful. Their innate magical prowess can annihilate those of the same realm. However, how does one confront a formidable sorcerer like Kwafu, who has mastered the laws with remarkable prowess? It is a daunting task indeed. After all, Kwafu embodies the essence of a great celestial being, renowned for his unparalleled resilience. Below him, the vines have ascended to a staggering height of over 2,000 zhang, relentlessly pursuing the 10 little golden crows. At this moment, witnessing the scorching flames of the sun unleashed by the great pressure, and observing the air above igniting and distorting with a crackling roar, Kwafu's colossal figure remained utterly unshaken, not even trembling slightly. He gazed defiantly at the descending golden calamity. His eyes ignited not with fear, but with an almost fervent battle spirit and murderous intent. Just as the searing fireball approached within 100 zhang of his head, Kwafu sprang into action. "Annihilate!" he bellowed, his voice resonating like a distant thunder. With a powerful motion, his robust arms extended, firmly gripping the peachwood staff in his hand, which suddenly erupted with an unimaginable surge of vitality. The once desiccated surface of the wood shimmered with a warm, jade-like radiance. Rather than merely defending, he chose to attack in place of defense, wielding the seemingly sentient staff like a celestial spear, thrusting it boldly towards the oncoming solar flames. Boom! The two opposing forces, each infused with the might of the cosmos, collided thunderously beneath the vast sky. Contrary to expectations of utter devastation, the tip of the peachwood staff appeared to open a gateway to the very source of life itself. Countless vibrant green leaves, as if freshly plucked from the branches of spring, burst forth in a magnificent display reminiscent of celestial maidens scattering flowers. In an instant, the sky was cleaved in two. One half radiated an unadulterated golden destruction, roiling and roaring like molten lava, exuding a terrifying heat capable of incinerating all. The other half was an infinite expanse of verdant life, surging upward like the sharpest arrows. In that fleeting moment, the golden fireball collided fiercely with the emerald sea of leaves, entangling and dissipating upon impact, each seemingly delicate leaf, upon contact with the blazing intensity of the true solar flames, unleashed in astonishing tenacity. The veins of the leaves glowed with an exuberant green light, resiliently resisting the encroaching flames. Even more astonishing was how the so-called sunfire, known for its ability to consume anything and even melt stars, was systematically pierced and torn apart by this boundless sea of life. Indeed, fire may conquer wood, yet when the disparity in magnitude is so pronounced, the solar flames struggle to withstand Kwafu's sorcery. With a series of explosive sounds echoing throughout the heavens and the earth, the punctured fireball burst forth like a popped bubble, scattering golden fire across the surroundings. In the vibrant vitality released by the emerald leaves, the formidable sunfire swiftly dimmed, extinguished, and transformed into wisps of azure smoke that dissipated into the ether. The cataclysmic blaze of the sun, seemingly invincible, was gradually repelled by the seemingly delicate torrent of verdant leaves. Ultimately, with a resounding explosion of defiance, it was utterly obliterated, leaving behind a sky filled with remnants imbued with the aroma of charred earth and the fresh scent of foliage. Although it may seem complex, in truth, all of this transpired in the blink of an eye. How could this be possible? Upon witnessing this spectacle, the great pressure was rendered speechless. He realized that Kwafu's strength surpassed their wildest imaginations. Moreover, after two encounters, the opponent had devised a strategy to counter the sunfire. The vitality governed by the laws of wood could be compressed to its utmost, coalescing into leaves that detonated upon contact with the sunfire, effectively extinguishing it. Who dares to claim that the Witch Clan is crude and barbaric? In such a brief span, they devised a method to contend with their adversaries. Is this what one calls barbarism? It is the Kuanpun. That old wretch deceived them. At this moment, Even the Great Pressure, usually slow to react, sensed something amiss. The Kunpeng harbored secrets. This cannot continue. They are in peril. Chapter 289. The demise of the Great Golden Crow when he witnessed the moment the Kunpeng vanished. Great Pressure felt a wave of bewilderment wash over him. He pondered whether they had misremembered the location or if the Yao Shi, angered by their delay, had deliberately concealed himself. However, as he experienced Kwa Fu's witchcraft up close and observed the manner in which his prized sun fire was extinguished, realization dawned upon him. The Kunpeng was indeed problematic. This thought struck him with terror, drenched in cold sweat. He suddenly recalled many details he had previously overlooked. The Kunpeng seemed to be not merely suspicious, but rather exhibited an oddity from its appearance to its disappearance. Why did the mother suddenly depart? Only for the long-missing Kunpeng to arrive? Why did the Kunpeng not wait for the mother to leave before making its entrance? Why did it engage them in discussions regarding the witch and demon clans? If it were truly loyal to the emperor, it should have understood that mentioning the witch and demon clans would provoke them, as royal members of the demon race. Thus, it should have remained tight-lipped, even choosing to stay hidden and protect them from the shadows. Upon this reflection, Great Pressure was struck by a sudden epiphany. Initially, he had harbored doubts about the Kunpeng. Yet, how had it managed to divert the conversation step by step, inciting their wrath and hatred towards the witch clan? Ultimately, it even led them to the primal land to confront the witches. The Kunpeng must have known that Kwa Fu, the great witch, possessed strength far more formidable than it appeared. Had it not been for his own solar true fire, and had the opponent not been devoid of a primordial spirit, relying solely on physical prowess and incapable of flight, he would have certainly perished at the moment of the Kwa Fu's emergence, along with his 10 brothers. Contemplating this, a profound confusion settled within him. Why, indeed, did this Kunpeng choose to betray his sovereign father? Was this individual truly Kunpeng? Was he genuinely a demon master? Just because he asserted it to be so, did that make it a reality? The talisman of the demon master could easily be counterfeit. Yet, at that moment, he had not delved deeper into the matter and was ensnared by the other's deception. However, why was it so? If the adversary had betrayed his sovereign father, and was not even the true Kunpeng, what purpose did he have in leading his 10 brothers to descend to the mortal realm? What was the objective? If it was to annihilate his brothers, why not select a great shaman who was not restrained by solar true fire, but instead chose Kwa Fu? Such myriad questions surged into Diya's mind, nearly overwhelming him with their intensity. Just as these chaotic thoughts swirled within him, a sudden sound of something slicing through the air pierced the silence. A sense of foreboding washed over him. He should not have indulged in such musings at this perilous moment. Danger loomed. Yet, before he could react, he felt a powerful force ensnare his 3rd foot. With a jolt, the sudden binding tightened around him, halting his ascent. Though he did not plummet, he was firmly gripped by that brute strength and could no longer ascend. Terror gripped his heart as he looked down, discovering a robust vine tightly coiling around his 3rd foot. At the other end of the vine was the peachwood staff held by the great shaman Kwa Fu. Evidently, Kwa Fu had seized the opportunity while he was momentarily distracted to entangle him and drag him down. Meanwhile, the vine beneath Kwa Fu's feet continued to grow. And with Diya ensnared, Kwa Fu channeled all his energy into the peachwood staff, intent on pursuing Diya relentlessly. Cursed be it, release me. As he gazed at the approaching Kwa Fu, Diya could even feel a palpable intent to kill piercing toward him, a sharp pain radiating from his abdomen. Boom. He was not one to succumb easily. Instantly, flames erupted from his entire being, surging toward his ensnared foot, determined to incinerate the vine. Previously, to facilitate his flight, they had subdued their flames, but now, faced with imminent danger, he knew that if Kwa Fu caught up to him, his demise would be inevitable. He could no longer afford to concern himself with the expenditure of his magical energy. He took a deep breath, and the scorching solar flames erupted from his mouth, distorting the very fabric of space. Not only did it consume the vines, but it also aimed to impede Kwa Fu's ascent. However, in the next moment, dread gripped him. He noticed the vine entwined around his foot was lined with barbs. The harder he struggled, the tighter it constricted. Moreover, this vine possessed a terrifying regenerative ability. No matter how much solar flame he unleashed, it merely singed the surface, only for it to regrow in the blink of an eye. His eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the vine, filled with incredulity. Hadn't his father claimed that solar flames were among the top 10 true flames of the primordial era, even ranking in the top 3? Yet, what was happening now? He couldn't even incinerate a single vine. In that moment, despair enveloped him. Alongside this despair, an overwhelming sense of regret surged within him. If only he had been more cautious, if only he had not placed his trust in the Kunpeng. If only he had insisted on waiting until he had fully transformed before descending to the mortal realm. How could he have found himself in such peril? At that moment, the other 9 little golden crows finally noticed the predicament of their elder brother. They halted in their tracks, faces etched with fear and rage as they shouted, "Ah, this is bad. Big Brother is ensnared. Stop. Go back and help Big Brother. Damn it. Brothers, burn it to ashes. Hurry." At this juncture, the little golden crows sensed that something was amiss. The Kuanping who had led them was nowhere to be found, and Kwafu relentlessly pursued them, intent on obliterating them. Seeing their elder brother ensnared while trying to buy them time, the 9 little golden crows were engulfed in terror, their previous fervor for burning the witch clan extinguished. Yet, despite their fear, they could not abandon their elder brother. Thus, after their furious outcry, the 9 little golden crows turned around, determined to confront Kwafu. "Get away from here. You are not to return. Do not concern yourselves with me. Go back. Ascend. Fly upwards." Observing his younger siblings halt and consider returning, the elder golden crow felt an urgent anxiety surge within him. He knew that his chances of survival were already precarious. As their elder, he had been careless, placing his faith in the Kuanping, leading his brothers into this dire situation. Now, he could not discern north from south, had no idea where to fly towards the 4 great heavenly gates, or how to seek out the demon clan. Yet, amidst all this, there remained a glimmer of hope. If he could entangle Kwafu, allowing his brothers to soar into the starry sky to seek out Aunt Changshi, they would still have a chance. He refused to believe that the immobile Kwafu could extend the vines into the heavens. Yet this path, he felt a profound dread, yet as the elder brother. With the crisis looming, he could no longer afford to dwell on his fears. After driving away the 9 little golden crows, he spoke with urgency. "There is trouble with the Kuanping. Trust no one, fly in no direction. Ascend directly into the starry sky, return to the cosmos. Go seek Aunt." His words trailed off. The great golden crow trembled violently. Its wings that had been flapping incessantly suddenly froze. It gazed down in a stupor, despair filling its eyes, for a sharp wooden thorn had emerged from the vines, piercing through its abdomen. Golden blood mixed with green began to flow down desperately. In that moment, the great golden crow felt an overwhelming chill enveloping both its body and spirit, acutely aware that its vitality was rapidly ebbing away. "Poisonous," was all it managed to utter. The next instant, its body, now devoid of strength to fly, was violently pulled down by the vines, crashing before Kwafu. With a fierce glare, Kwafu, his eyes bloodshot, swung his peachwood staff with tremendous force. The terrifying might of his physical form shattered the great golden crow's body in a single blow, cleaving it in two. Severely wounded and now poisoned, the great golden crow, in that instant, was utterly bereft of life. Chapter 290. Shiha was stunned. "My eldest son is dead? Die? Just die?" The great golden crow's body was torn asunder. Yet Kwafu's rage remained unabated, his fury intensifying rather than dissipating. The image of his tribe engulfed in flames played vividly in his mind, the anguished cries of the children of the shaman clan echoing in his ears. To him, even if there was enmity between the shaman and demon clans, it should have been a battle of equals, a fair confrontation. Yet these 10 wretched beasts resorted to despicable ambushes, preying upon the weak. If a fight was to be had, let it be a fair one. Why harm those who were countless times weaker than themselves? In that moment, the once gentle Kwafu was consumed by rage. In his eyes, these 10 little beasts were guilty beyond redemption, deserving of death. 100 deaths, 1,000 deaths. As these thoughts took root in his mind, his hands did not cease their relentless assault. He swung the peachwood staff with all his might, his veins bulging like coiling dragons, each strike infused with his full strength, relentlessly raining blows upon the corpse of the great golden crow. 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. He continued to strike without counting until the body of the great golden crow was unrecognizable. Only then did he finally relent. At that moment, what semblance of form remained of the great golden crow? Only feathers and flesh, imbued with golden blood, drifted gracefully through the air. "Ah, my elder brother." Above, 9 little golden crows trembled in shock, their faces etched with fear and disbelief. They were bewildered, unable to comprehend why Kwafu could be so cruel. They did not understand how their elder brother, the great prince of the demon clan, could meet such a tragic demise. "You shall perish too," Kwafu snarled, abruptly lifting his head, his fierce gaze piercing through the air. At that moment, he was drenched in golden blood, his eyes still ablaze with hatred, rendering him particularly fearsome. "You shall perish too," he ground out through clenched teeth. A mere beast. Even if he were to strike 100 or 1,000 times, the hatred in his heart would remain unresolved. Today, all these wretched creatures must die. With that, the vines beneath his feet surged upward once more. At the peak of Buzhou Mountain, a streak of starlight descended from afar, moving with great speed. So swift that the several great shamans guarding the mountain gate had yet to react before the starlight had already landed on the heavenly ladder at the summit. In a flicker of starlight, it ascended to the highest platform of the ladder, just outside the southern heavenly gate. "Chief, shall we pursue?" At this moment, The shamans sealing Buzhou Mountain turned to the leading shamans, their voices filled with urgency. Recently, they had come to seal the mountain under the directive of the ancestral shaman Zhu Rong, forbidding any beings from traversing the heavenly ladder to join the demon clan. Initially, they had felt a surge of excitement and anticipation, believing that this would ensure the demon clan would not surrender easily. They thought that in due time, they could use this as a pretext to launch an assault on the southern heavenly gate, slaying the demon clan and driving them from the celestial realm, much like the demon clan had treated the celestial court a millennium ago. Thus, over 20 great shamans had arrived at the outset, with several ancestral shamans taking their positions in the rear. All the shamans, from the foot soldiers to the great shamans, were eager and prepared, sharpening their blades in anticipation of an uprising from the demon clan, ready to strike. Yet, to their utter disappointment, not only did the demon clan not resist, but they also closed off the 4 heavenly gates, ceasing to recruit any beings into their fold. It could be said that they isolated themselves from the chaos of the primordial world, establishing their own realm. The sealing shamans were left in a daze, realizing that the demon clan was indeed afraid and unwilling to engage in battle. They felt both proud and accomplished, yet it was of no consequence. What they truly desired was war. What they truly desired was to seize the celestial realm after a fierce confrontation. Subsequently, several ancestral shamans departed, and over a dozen great shamans withdrew as well. After all, with so many shaman clans stationed here, the consumption of resources for sustenance and cultivation was exorbitant. Despite the vastness of Mount Buzhou, it could not accommodate them indefinitely. Thus, the majority of the shaman clans retreated to their respective tribes. However, the pressing issue remained. The mountain had to remain sealed. Otherwise, the creatures of the primordial land would continue to flock to the demon clan, only serving to bolster their strength and diminish the shaman clan's dignity. Therefore, a few great shamans stayed behind, alongside their subordinates, guarding the foot of the heavenly ladder. To their surprise, after such a lengthy period of tedium, with no beings arriving to pledge allegiance to the demon clan, today finally brought some movement. The shaman clans, having grown weary of the monotony, were naturally filled with excitement and turned to the foremost great shaman for guidance. Should they pursue and intercept? Upon hearing the request from their subordinates, the stationed great shamans fell into a contemplative silence, all gazing at their leader. What are you looking at me for? Have you all lost your minds? Do you not comprehend the speed required to reach the apex of the heavenly ladder in an instant? Are you unaware of the opponent's strength? Clearly, they are a quasi-saint. If we all charged together, we would be repelled, the leader declared dismissively, his expression one of exasperation. He may have been the strongest here, yet among the great shamans, he hardly ranked at the forefront. To intercept a quasi-saint? That would be courting trouble. While the shaman clan was indeed combative, they were not foolish. Moreover, the ancestral shaman had already issued an edict: do not obstruct the quasi-saints. After all, although the celestial realm was occupied by the demon clan, it served as a conduit to the chaos beyond. It was entirely possible for quasi-saints to traverse the celestial realm for their own trials in the chaos. The shaman clan could be domineering, but they had always held a deep respect for the strong. There were only so many quasi-saints in the primordial realm. There was no need to create enemies for the shaman clan. Upon hearing the leader's command, the multitude of shaman clans displayed expressions of disappointment. What of the quasi-saints? They were not afraid. At worst, they would die with fervor, yet one by one, they retreated. Outside the majestic and resplendent southern heavenly gate, starlight descended, transforming into an enchanting figure. She, who had journeyed from the starry expanse. The cosmos was vast, and although her speed was considerable, after receiving the summons from Dijun, she hurriedly made her way to the southern heavenly gate. Observing the tightly shut celestial gates and the shimmering protective array, she furrowed her brows, her face reflecting astonishment. Logically speaking, Dijun had summoned her to come. Without personally coming out to greet her, surely they would have informed the demon general stationed at the heavenly gate? Yet, she had arrived only to be met with closed doors? No, something felt amiss. She suddenly recalled the numerous figures atop Mount Buzhou earlier. However, she had been preoccupied with meeting Emperor Jun and had not taken note of them. Now, piecing it all together, she sensed an unusual aura. Emperor Jun had summoned her without disclosing the circumstances. Could it be? Had something transpired with the demon clan? Was this the reason for her summons? Who could the visitor be? At that moment, a resonant roar echoed from within the southern heavenly gate. In the next instant, the shimmering barrier of the southern heavenly gate transformed into transparency. A towering figure, accompanied by a legion of 10,000 demon soldiers, emerged within the gate's tower. It was none other than the demon commander, Ji Ming, stationed at the southern heavenly gate. However, upon catching sight of Shihi, Ji Ming's initially vigilant expression shifted to one of astonishment, followed by reverence. It was none other than the return of the Empress. Greetings, Empress. Ji Ming. As the foremost among the 10 demon commanders, possessed formidable strength, which justified his position guarding the southern heavenly gate. He was naturally acquainted with Shihi. Prior to the demon clan's assault on the heavenly realm, the presence of the sisters Shihi and Chang Shi was a frequent sight by Emperor Jun's side. However, their appearances had dwindled over time. Even during the millennium of the demon clan's occupancy in the heavenly realm, Shihi and Chang Shi had not made an appearance. The precise reasons for this were beyond the purview of the subjects. At this moment, with the demon clan on high alert and the 4 great gates sealed, Shihi's sudden appearance astonished Ji Ming. Nevertheless, he respectfully bowed before her. Ji Ming, what has transpired within the demon clan? My husband summoned me here. Take me to him. Shihi called out to Ji Ming within the barrier. Upon hearing her words, Ji Ming's expression faltered with hesitation. He was well aware that His Majesty was in seclusion. Why would he summon the Empress at this time? Moreover, if such a summons were to occur, he should have received prior notification. Yet, he had received no such message. Contemplating this, he discreetly scanned his demon commander token with his divine sense. Indeed, he confirmed without error that Emperor Jun had not notified him. Was the Shihi outside genuine? Could she be an impersonator from the Witch clan, attempting to deceive him into opening the barrier, thereby launching an assault on the southern heavenly gate? As this thought crossed his mind, Ji Ming's hesitation deepened. He inhaled sharply, feeling a pang of anxiety. How could he find himself in such a predicament? Should he open the gate? If the Shihi outside were indeed the real Empress, how would His Majesty view his disrespect? Yet, if she were an impostor, and he were to open the barrier, causing the Witch clan to seize the opportunity to attack the southern heavenly gate, that would be a grave sin. What was he to do? Ji Ming, what holds you back? Is there something amiss? Speak plainly. There is no need for hesitation. Outside the grand formation, observing the ever-changing expressions of Ji Ming, Shihi furrowed her brow. As the celestial maiden of the Taiyin star, her demeanor was inherently gentle and amiable, thus she did not scold Ji Ming harshly. Instead, her thoughts were for Ji Ming's well-being. If the grand formation could not be activated, then let us first discuss what transpired. Inside the grand formation, upon hearing her words, Ji Ming visibly relaxed, gratitude washing over his face as he respectfully explained to the outside Shihi. Your Highness, the Witch clan has sealed off Mount Buzhou. His Majesty has ordered the closure of the 4 heavenly gates, leaving the Witch clan unattended. Therefore, I dare not open the gates lightly. Upon hearing this, Shihi's expression grew grave, yet she nodded with understanding. I comprehend. I shall inform my husband immediately. However, as she spoke, her countenance suddenly shifted dramatically. She turned her gaze toward the vast primordial land, one hand clutching her heart, her face etched with fear and sorrow. For she sensed the severance of the karmic bond with her blood kin. It was the karmic thread of her eldest son, severed. There were only 11 karmic threads connecting her to her bloodline. Aside from her sister, they were her 10 little golden crows born of her own womb. At this moment, she sensed that the thread intimately linked to her eldest son had been abruptly severed. Without warning, it had been cut. And the source of this severance did not arise from the starry sky, but rather from the primordial earth. In an instant, Shihi stood frozen, her mind swirling with countless thoughts, transforming into endless questions. Had her eldest son perished? Had he fallen in the primordial land? Chapter 291. Ji Ming was bewildered. What was this? Dead. Dead. Why? Why would my eldest son be in the primordial land? Outside the southern heavenly gate, Shihi gazed vacantly toward the northern land. Large tears streamed down her pale cheeks, her face a canvas of despair. One hand pressed against her heart, she murmured to herself, disbelief etched upon her features. In that moment, her mind was in utter disarray. The first thought that struck her was that it was impossible. How long had she been away from the Sun Star? How could her eldest son possibly end up in the primordial land, and moreover, meet his demise? Let alone the Sun Star, the entire cosmos was shrouded in formidable formations. It was inconceivable for her eldest son to leave the starry realm without successfully transforming his form. Yet, before her departure, her son had still been far from achieving that transformation. It was utterly impossible. Furthermore, had she not sent her sister to the Sun Star to assist in watching over the child? Even if her eldest son had successfully transformed, leaving the starry realm would certainly have caught the attention of Chang Shi. Yet none of this had come to pass. Without any forewarning, the bond between her and her eldest son was severed abruptly. Shihi was incredulous, engulfed in a whirlwind of confusion, sorrow, and terror, all of which relentlessly assailed her psyche. Such turmoil caused even this near saint to tremble uncontrollably, rendering her legs weak and causing her to stumble and collapse onto the ground. No, it cannot be. It cannot be my son. Shihi gasped, her breath hitching as she cried out in panic, desperately attempting to convince herself of an alternative reality. In the next moment, a jolt of realization struck her, filling her face with dread. She suddenly recalled a crucial fact. Her children had grown up together, deeply united. Regardless of the reasons, if her eldest son was in peril on the primordial land, what of her other children? The mere thought of this surged in her mind, prompting Shihi to bite her tongue, the searing pain jolting her back to reality, compelling her to regain composure. With a swift motion, she pushed herself up from the ground, striving to shake off the paralysis that had seized her. In the following instant, feeling a semblance of awareness returning, Shihi propelled herself forward, transforming into a dim starry light as she flew towards the stairway below. All thoughts of Dijun's messages and the dire circumstances of the demon clan faded from her mind. To her, the entire demon clan paled in significance compared to her children. She was determined to seek the truth, to uncover what had truly befallen her eldest son. Meanwhile, at the South Heavenly Gate formation, Ji Ming, the demon commander who had been contemplating how to approach Shihi, stood frozen in place, bewildered as he watched her vanish. Yet, in an instant, he regained his composure, his expression shifting to one of grave concern. Shihi's demeanor had been exceedingly abnormal. What did she mean by her eldest son being dead? Dead in the primordial realm? Her eldest? Did the Empress have offspring? That would imply they had a crown prince. However, the troubling fact remained. He had never heard of such a thing. As the foremost among the 10 demon commanders, there was no information regarding the demon clan that he was unaware of. If Shihi spoke the truth, the only plausible explanation was that the Empress sought to protect the crown prince, hence her silence. Yet, judging by Shihi's state, it seemed the crown prince had encountered misfortune. Just as they had recently acquired a crown prince, he now appeared to be lost. With this realization, Ji Ming swallowed hard, his anxiety mounting. He felt a deep bitterness within. It was clear that being stationed at the South Heavenly Gate promised no favorable outcomes. He had initially anticipated an ambush from the ancestral shaman, but this was far more severe. Since he had encountered this situation, he could no longer feign ignorance. It was imperative to inform the Empress immediately. Let His Majesty come to verify the truth. With this thought, Ji Ming swiftly produced the Demon Commander token, sending a message to Emperor Juntai, while simultaneously notifying the Demon Master Bai Zhe and the other demon commanders. In his view, this matter could not be concealed. Thus, he decided to inform all demon leaders and masters, ensuring that everyone was aware simultaneously. This way, should any incident arise, he would not have to shoulder the burden alone. Furthermore, he harbored concerns that this incident might involve the Witch Clan masquerading as Shihi. If he were to abandon his post, it could lead to the Witch Clan seizing the opportunity to attack the Southern Heavenly Gate, which would spell disaster. Therefore, he needed the other demon commanders to assist in guarding the Southern Heavenly Gate while he himself soared towards the Celestial Palace. Emperor Juntai was currently in seclusion and might not receive the message, necessitating his personal report. What a predicament! As Ji Ming ascended the heavenly ladder towards the Lingxiao Palace, he mentally cursed. Suddenly, the demon commander token in his hand emitted a resonant hum. Ji Ming paused, extending his consciousness. A voice immediately resonated in his mind. This is Bai Zhe. I shall promptly report this matter to His Majesty. Ji Ming, do not leave the Southern Heavenly Gate. Ji Ming exhaled a sigh of relief, his anxious demeanor easing somewhat. He hurried towards the Lingxiao Palace, fearing that his message might not have been seen by the other demon commanders and Bai Zhe. Or, considering a darker possibility, what if they had seen it and chosen not to respond? This was a distinct possibility. The occurrence had been too sudden and bizarre, especially during the time when His Majesty had ordered the sealing of the 4 great heavenly gates. Thus, Ji Ming feared that the other demon commanders and Bai Zhe, upon seeing the message, might hesitate to involve themselves in this matter. Fortunately, the demon master Bai Zhe exhibited a sense of responsibility, since he had responded, indicating his intention to report to His Majesty. Ji Ming could set this issue aside and focus solely on guarding the Southern Heavenly Gate. With this thought, Ji Ming turned around and descended the heavenly ladder. What nonsense! The lady Shihi claims the crown prince is in peril? I suspect Ji Ming has lost his mind. Where did this crown prince come from? Never mind him. This matter is too strange to intervene in. Meanwhile, at the very moment Ji Ming turned back towards the Southern Heavenly Gate, his message had been flawlessly transmitted to the tokens of the other 9 demon commanders. Ironically, the reactions of these demon commanders were strikingly similar to Ji Ming's suspicions. Upon reading the message on the tokens, each of them, without a hint of hesitation, scoffed and tucked the tokens away, embodying a complete seen but not replied attitude. It is worth noting that the 10 demon commanders hailed from various races, with the Avian clan being the most populous among them. The Beast clan ranks next, while the Water clan is represented by only 2 beings, Zhou Ying and Ji Ming. On the surface, their scarcity fosters a sense of unity and amiability between Ji Ming and Zhou Ying within the demon realm. However, to speak candidly, with 3,000 aquatic beings, discord arising from self-interest is inevitable. When faced with adversity, who truly considers the plight of others? Naturally, self-preservation takes precedence. Thus, Upon receiving Ji Ming's message, Jiao Ying was the first to read it and remain unresponsive, choosing to retreat into seclusion. If he behaved this way, one can only imagine the reactions of the other demon lords. The rationale behind this is painfully simple. They are utterly incapable of discerning the truth from Ji Ming's few words. Moreover, even if the matter were true, if Emperor Jun indeed had a son who perished on the vast expanse of primordial land, what then? Would anyone be foolish enough to boldly proclaim their desire for vengeance on behalf of the crown prince? Not to mention that the heavenly realm is currently sealed off from the outside, and the Witch Clan has closed its mountains, rendering the atmosphere fraught with peril. In the vast wilderness, how many would dare to slay the son of Emperor Jun? Such individuals are not ones that the demon lords can afford to provoke. Certainly, they would meet their doom. Hence, they remain acutely sensitive to such matters, opting instead to feign ignorance and distance themselves from the situation. Consequently, after Ji Ming's message, during that critical window of opportunity to rescue the 10 little golden crows, not a single soul emerged from outside Lingxiao Palace to report this incident to Emperor Jun. Chapter 292. Xiandu. I simply wish to progress. Is that so wrong? Master, the task has been completed. At this moment, the golden crows should be engulfed in crisis. The witch and demon clans are bound to clash as a result. In the second tier of the heavenly realm, within an unnamed palace belonging to a demon general, a figure stepped through the grand entrance and respectfully saluted the elders seated on the mat within. Were Jia Yin and Zhuan Ti present, they would undoubtedly be astonished. For the youth who had just entered the palace was none other than Xiandu, who had mysteriously vanished without a trace. And the one he reverently referred to as master could only be Laozi, the second disciple of the Way of the Mysterious, the leader of the human sect, the second saint of primordial times, and the first to fall from the sacred altar, adorned with numerous illustrious titles and achievements. Upon hearing his words, the elder, who sat cross-legged on the mat, opened his eyes. In his weathered gaze, a profound dispassion lingered, even tinged with a hint of severity. However, upon listening to Xiandu's report, the darkness in Laozi's eyes dissipated, transforming into a gentle warmth. Good. This time you acted decisively and with great caution. Even in the face of those shameless scoundrels, Jia Yin and Zhuan Ti, you remained unperturbed and true to your principles. I have observed all of this, my disciple. He felt immensely fortunate to have been singled out from the human race for cultivation. A look of contentment graced the countenance of Laozi as he spoke, his tone imbued with warmth. It was evident that he held great satisfaction with his inner disciple, Xuandu. Upon hearing such affirming words from Laozi, Xuandu fell to his knees, prostrating himself on the ground. His eyes sparkled with excitement, and his face bore an expression of astonished gratitude as he declared, "It is an honor for me to follow my revered master in cultivation for 10,000 years. All credit belongs to your guidance, master. As for the two saints from the west, in comparison to you, they are as different as clouds and dirt. I am naturally unafraid in their presence. Moreover, the success of today's plan is entirely a result of your meticulous scheming. You are a master strategist, and to serve as your pawn is enough to satisfy me." Xuandu's voice brimmed with reverence and adoration, as he lowered himself further with each word. By the time he had finished speaking, his forehead was firmly pressed against the cold stone floor. As he had articulated, over the millennia, the mighty beings of the outer realms had speculated about the whereabouts of his master. There were even rumors that his master had perished when he fell from the sacred altar. For it was universally acknowledged among the powerful that only the primordial purple energy could lead one to sainthood. Having once attained such a state and subsequently fallen from grace, his master's foundation must have been compromised and his vitality severely depleted. Each celestial being coveted the primordial purple energy and sought to uncover Laozi's trail. Even those who had ascended to the rank of saints, such as Jin and Zhuanti, devised various schemes to extract information about his master from him. Yet, no one could fathom the truth. No one could deduce that he and his master had remained within the celestial realm for all these years, arriving even before the demon race did. At that time, the celestial realm still belonged to the immortal court. His master had concealed him within the undeveloped forbidden zones of the celestial realm. Later, the immortal court fell into incompetence and was defeated by the demon race, which then occupied the celestial realm, transforming even the untouched forbidden zones into blessed lands. Initially, he feared that they would be discovered by the demon race and their whereabouts exposed. However, his master, employing some unknown stratagem, manipulated a demon general and usurped a palace for their own use, allowing them to remain hidden in the celestial realm for many more years. The entire demon race, from the generals to the likes of Emperor Jun and Tai, remained oblivious to this fact. Thus, in Xuandu's heart, his admiration for his master was as boundless as the celestial waters, flowing endlessly and unceasingly. At this moment, after completing his speech, he awaited Laozi's response, his heart fluttering with anticipation, for this venture was not a decision he had made independently, but rather a task entrusted to him by his master, including the journey to meet the guiding figure of the purely compassionate, to masquerade as the Kunpeng and lead the 10 small golden crows. Before embarking on this endeavor, the master made a promise. If he could successfully complete this mission, his identity would be elevated to that of a direct disciple, granting him the opportunity to learn the true path of the supreme, emotionless way. This was precisely why Xuandu was so fervent and dedicated during this expedition, even choosing to personally partake in the undertaking. The distinction between an inner disciple and a direct disciple, though composed of merely 2 words, encompasses a vast chasm and significant hurdles. For instance, in the presence of the esteemed Han Jun, his master is merely an inner disciple. Yet, his grand uncle holds the title of direct disciple. It is said that throughout the vast wilderness, only his grand uncle, the primordial Taoist, has received the authentic teachings from Master Han Jun. Hence, it is no wonder that his grand uncle possesses such formidable prowess, overshadowing all sages. Thus, at this moment, after flawlessly completing the task, Xuandu hurriedly returned to Laozi's presence. It appeared to be a report. However, he was truly eager to obtain the genuine teachings of the supreme, emotionless way. For millennia, as the sole disciple of the human sect, Xuandu had been cultivating alongside Laozi, having long since transcended the rudimentary golden elixir technique. Moreover, Laozi had suffered due to this very technique, first leading to the demise of the benevolent corpse and subsequently resulting in his fall from the ranks of sages. Therefore, for thousands of years, Xuandu dared not utter a single word about the golden elixir technique, nor even entertain thoughts of it. Instead, he practiced an improved version of the technique, known as the purification technique. Upon reaching the golden elixir stage, he would no longer be confined to the initial version, which eternally prevented one from attaining immortality at the golden elixir level. Instead, he could shatter the elixir and transform it into a primordial spirit. By perfecting this spirit, he could break through the tribulation and step into the threshold of earth immortality. Furthermore, this technique can be cultivated to the realm of the great Luo Golden Immortal, far surpassing the original golden elixir technique in sophistication. Over the millennia, Xuandu, who has trained under Laozi, has attained the golden immortal realm. Such a rapid advancement in cultivation, when compared to the pinnacle of noble families in the wilderness, would undoubtedly render him a paragon of excellence. After all, it typically takes a normal being an entire epoch to reach the earth immortal stage. Yet, Xuandu remains unsatisfied, and profoundly so. He believes that Laozi must possess even more superior, advanced, and intricate techniques. If the Saint Nuwa could create astonishing techniques for the demon race, how could his master not be capable? Furthermore, even if no new techniques were to be created or improved, he is aware that his master already possesses perfected methods. These include the Supreme Clarity Technique, which is on par with the Shangqing Technique of Yuanshi and the Yuqing Technique of Tongtian. Not to mention the Supreme Emotionless Way that his master currently practices. All of these surpass the Purification Technique, which only allows cultivation up to the Great Luo. Yet, what of his master? For millennia, there had been no mention of passing on such teachings to him, despite being the sole disciple of the revered master. Even as a direct disciple of Laozi, he found himself unsatisfied. It was only recently that Laozi commanded him to venture forth in pursuit of collaboration with Jian and Junyi, promising that upon successful completion of this task, he would be elevated to the status of a personal disciple, entrusted with the sacred teachings and granted permission to cultivate the true path of the supreme, unfeeling way. Thus, the sudden reemergence of Xuandu, long thought to be lost to time, came to be. Now, with the task accomplished, nay, perfectly executed, he stood on the precipice of further advancement, poised to transcend the confines of Deluo and ascend to the ranks of true quasi-saintly power. Xuandu was naturally filled with immense excitement, eagerly anticipating further communication from his revered master. As for the implications of his journey, whether it might incite a cataclysmic war between the Wu and Liao tribes, resulting in the demise of countless innocent souls, or even spark a new calamity, Xuandu remained entirely indifferent. According to the teachings he had received, all beings in the primordial chaos were destined to perish. It was merely a question of timing. Any creature that did not attain the realm of the saint was akin to mere ants, destined to undergo the cycle of birth and extinction, much like the myriad worlds of the primordial heavens. Even those of Deluo Golden Immortal or quasi-saintly might fall victim to the fierce competition for heavenly treasures, just as the venerable Han Yun had exemplified. True immortality, the essence of existence, could only be achieved through the attainment of the saintly fruit. Xuandu resolved to ascend step by step, climbing to Deluo, to quasi-saint, and ultimately to the realm of the saint. He yearned to demonstrate to those who had severed ties with him that his choices had been profoundly wise. He sought to convey to the patriarch of humanity, that esteemed elder, that he was not a traitor to his kin, but rather a pioneer forging a righteous path for the human race. He aspired to be the first among humans to attain sanctity, to earn the reverent title of Saint Ancestor from all humanity. When that moment arrived, all past imperfections would fade into insignificance. For today, securing the authentic transmission from Laozi would signify the true commencement of his journey. Without achieving the status of quasi-saint, how could one hope to become a saint? If he could grasp the supreme, unfeeling way, he would break through the quasi-saint threshold, igniting the hope of attaining the saintly realm. The more he contemplated this, the more exhilarated he became, feeling as though the very blood coursing through his veins was boiling. The cold tiles beneath his forehead transformed into a searing warmth. Though only a few moments had passed, Xuandu felt as though an eternity had elapsed. At last, as his thoughts spiraled wildly, the moment of revelation approached. The aged voice of Laozi finally shattered the profound silence, resonating in the air. What are the two tokens? I have not heard any good news. Xiandu was momentarily taken aback, but he quickly regained his composure. It was his own eagerness for accolades that nearly caused him to overlook the pressing matter at hand. One must understand that the tokens were crafted by his revered master and constituted one of the most crucial elements of their current scheme. Failing to manage them properly could result in significant oversights. Master, forgive me. I was overly hasty and nearly forgot this matter, he thought. Raising his head, Xiandu flipped his right hand, revealing a jade token that materialized in his grasp, distinctly emblazoned with the characters Yao Shi. Cradling the token with both hands, Xiandu respectfully continued, as you foresaw, Master, Ji Ming indeed sent a message to Bai Zai. This token intercepted him. Following your instructions, I calmed Ji Ming and ensured he remained at the southern heavenly gate. At that moment, Emperor Juntai was still in seclusion within the Lingxiao Palace. Oblivious to the events unfolding outside, gazing at the Yao Shi token in his hand, Xiandu felt an inexplicable sense of wonder and reverence for Laozi's unparalleled foresight. Indeed, this token was no mere illusion nor a trick of the eye. Ji Ming's message to Bai Zai had been intercepted by Xiandu, who had also sent the directive for Ji Ming to return to the southern heavenly gate. His admiration for Laozi deepened, for it was astonishing that the master had anticipated Ji Ming's communication with Bai Zai. With his interception and the false information planted, Emperor Juntai's response would undoubtedly be significantly delayed. However, as Xiandu contemplated the token in his grasp, confusion began to arise. This token, capable of interception and communication, was it truly genuine? If it was indeed crafted by his master, that would be quite extraordinary, for his master was far more adept at alchemy than at forging artifacts. It appeared he must request guidance from his master on the art of crafting. Just as you surmised, this token was not forged by your master. It is indeed authentic. Thus, this represents the final gap in our entire plan. Laozi, seated on the mat, softly intoned. With a wave of his right hand, he summoned the Yao Shi token from Xiandu's grip. Then, with a gentle squeeze, a crack sounded. A brilliant light erupted as the token, possessing the quality of a primordial spiritual treasure, shattered into dust, cascading from Laozi's fingers and scattering with the wind. Now, this gap has been entirely eradicated, Laozi proclaimed. Xiandu stood frozen in place, struck by astonishment. What had he just heard? This token was genuine? It was not crafted by his master? Where had it originated? No. Was the answer not glaringly evident? The authentic token could only have come from the present Demon Clan sorcerer, Bai Zai. As this realization dawned upon him, Xiandu's heart trembled, filled with astonishment. When did the master begin to orchestrate this scheme? What role did Bai Zai play in it? No, Bai Zai could not possibly be allied with the master, for at this moment, she had already descended to the mortal realm. Before long, the news of the Golden Crow's demise would undoubtedly spread throughout the vast expanse of the primordial world. In due time, Ji Ming's message and Bai Zai's interception could not remain concealed from Di Jun. Soon enough, upon learning of his son's death, Di Jun would surely erupt in fury and seek answers. If Bai Zai could not escape the consequences, Ji Ming would not be foolish enough to bear the entire burden alone. Thus, it was clear that the token in question was not willingly offered to his master by Bai Zai. This left but one possibility: theft? The thought flared in Xiandu's mind, only for him to swiftly suppress and extinguish it. Theft? How could one speak of such a thing in the realm of cultivation? All things are creations of heaven and earth. It is not theft, it should be termed borrowing. The master is wise. Xiandu once again pressed his forehead to the ground, respectfully proclaiming, "What does it matter, tokens or not?" At this moment, he harbored but a singular thought, a fervent desire, the supreme emotionless path. Why had the master not yet imparted the supreme emotionless path to him? In his heart, Xiandu cried out incessantly, feeling as if countless ants were scuttling within him. Do not rush. At this moment, as if reading Xiandu's thoughts, the voice of Laozi suddenly resonated through the grand hall. I know you yearn for the supreme emotionless path. It is a path I have forged, emphasizing tranquility and serenity of spirit. Yet, in your current state of anxiety and restlessness, how can you cultivate the supreme emotionless path? Upon hearing these words, Xian Du was struck with terror, realizing his innermost thoughts had been laid bare before his master. Had the master achieved sainthood? Were there other thoughts of his being observed? Amidst his fear, a bittersweet sentiment welled within him. Was the master implying that he had no intention of passing on the teachings of the supreme emotionless path to him? Before he could ponder further, Lao Zi's voice echoed once more, "Do not despair. I shall now recite a calming incantation for you. If you can use this to soothe your heart, I will impart the supreme emotionless path to you. Is that acceptable?" Bang, bang, bang. Upon hearing these words, Xian Du had no objections left. He bowed fervently, then raised his head, revealing a face alight with excitement. "Disciple is profoundly grateful to the master," he hastily responded, his voice trembling with emotion. Then, the voice of Lao Zi, imbued with a sense of ancient wisdom, reverberated within the palace, devoid of words, yet rich with the profound essence of the Tao. Xian Du sat cross-legged upon the ground, taking a deep breath, his eyes tightly shut, beginning to listen. He had not anticipated the unfolding of events. Through the dense foliage, a glimmer of hope appeared, village after village. Initially, he believed that his master would abandon the impartation of teachings to him. However, it turned out that the master aimed first to solidify his heart's tranquility and dispel distracting thoughts. This revelation filled Xian Du with profound gratitude, deepening his reverence for Lao Zi. He could not help but reflect on his past betrayal of the human race and the grievous error he had committed. In stark contrast to the harmonious scene between Xian Du and Lao Zi, the situation with the 9 little golden crows was utterly dire. Chapter 294. Quafu falls into a trap. Luya seeks a chance for survival next. It was the turn of these little beasts. Above the Quafu Great Witch tribe, at an altitude of 7,000 zhang, Quafu stood upon a vine, his body drenched in golden blood, his face etched with murderous intent as he gazed at the other 9 golden crows above. It was as if the brutal act of crushing a large golden crow had been an inconsequential deed. In truth, within Quafu's heart, it was indeed so. Below, his tribe was engulfed in flames, and countless witch children had perished as a result. The witch clan, renowned for their physical fortitude, could withstand the sun's true fire, which could not extinguish them in a single strike. Thus, Quafu was acutely aware that many of his children had suffered a torturous demise, most being burned alive, enduring agony in their final moments. Moreover, even as he had just manipulated the vines to deal with the witch children, and despite his small witches striving to save them, the anguished cries reverberated clearly in his ears. Such profound hatred could not be satiated merely by slaying one golden crow. Today, he was determined to annihilate all 9 of these beasts. Not only that, he intended to support the ancestor Zhu Rong, willingly taking the lead in the assault against the demon clan. Such despicable and shameless creatures did not deserve to inhabit the heavenly realm, let alone to live. These 3-legged beasts must perish. Their progenitors must also meet the same fate. From this day forth, Quafu vowed to devote his every breath and moment to combating the demon clan until their complete eradication. Only thus could he quell the hatred within his heart. At this moment, upon hearing Quafu's words filled with murderous intent and witnessing his fierce visage, the other 9 little golden crows finally emerged from their shock at the brutal demise of their elder brother. Yet, much to Quafu's surprise, these little golden crows did not flee in terror. Instead, they flew towards him, faces contorted with rage, crying out in unison, "Elder brother! Kill! Burn him alive! Avenge our elder brother! Those damned barbaric witches dared to slay our elder brother. Do you not know that our Dijun's son is a prince of the demon clan? However, you dared to kill my elder brother after burning your tribe and slaughtering several from the shaman clan." The harshness of these words pierced through the air, causing Quafu to nearly choke with rage. He inhaled deeply, a sardonic smile etched upon his face. At that moment, he found the despicable nature of these little golden crows beyond his wildest imagination. For no reason, they had launched a sudden assault on his tribe. It was they who had set fire to the children of his clan. And now, faced with his might, they not only showed no remorse for their actions, but had the audacity to shift the blame and threaten him instead. A prince of the demon clan? The one I killed was indeed a prince of the demon clan. Quafu roared skyward. The vines beneath him surged forth, propelling him swiftly into the air. His right hand swelled with muscle as he gripped the peachwood staff tightly, charging toward the 9 golden crows that swooped down upon him. There was no hint of retreat in Quafu's demeanor. He relished the challenge. In his previous fury, he had dispatched that creature with excessive brutality, fearing that the others might flee in terror. Fortunately, they did not escape. This was precisely what Quafu desired. Had these little beasts scattered, it would have been a challenge to pursue them all. Their collective approach presented him with the perfect opportunity to ensnare them all at once. As he contemplated this, observing the encroaching golden crows, Kwafu calculated the distance between them. He was already gathering his strength, ready to unleash a widespread shamanic spell. 900 feet, 600 feet, 300 feet, Kwafu chanted in his mind, excitement coursing through him as he prepared to wield the Peachwood staff. Yet, in an unexpected turn of events, the scene before him shifted dramatically. At that moment, scatter, burn the vines beneath him. To Kwafu's astonishment, just as he was about to unleash his expansive spell to ensnare the 9 golden crows with the vines, they suddenly veered away. Under the command of one of the little golden crows, they dispersed entirely. No longer congregating together, they flew off in 9 different directions, heading straight for the vines at his feet. Cursed be it. They aim to incinerate the vines beneath me. Why? How could these little beasts possess such cunning? Should they not be recklessly seeking revenge against me? How did they suddenly become so astute? Kwafu cursed inwardly, simultaneously halting the growth of the vines beneath him in an attempt to defend himself. It was imperative to note that he was currently soaring at an altitude of 7,000 or 8,000 feet, surrounded by clouds and mist. Above him, countless stars twinkled, making it nearly impossible to discern the image of his shaman clan below. Should he fall, even Kwafu's formidable physique would not withstand such a descent. Thus, he understood the gravity of the situation. One cannot allow these diminutive creatures to incinerate the very vines beneath their feet. However, the issue lies in the rapidity of the little golden crows. Scattering in all directions, they distanced themselves and evaded Kwafu, soaring downward. Boom, boom, boom. Immediately, the true fire of the sun spewed forth from their beaks as if it were of no consequence. Each burst was imbued with boundless regret. The 10 little golden crows had existed together since their emergence, sharing sustenance, shelter, and cultivation. In this camaraderie, the eldest among them, Dia, held a position of utmost significance in their hearts, second only to the revered Shi-He, and even surpassing that of Di-Jun, who was perpetually preoccupied. Shortly after their arrival, Di-Jun had orchestrated an offensive against the Celestial Court, leading to the successful occupation of the Heavenly Realm by the Demon Clan. Consequently, Di-Jun had been engrossed in his cultivation and in solidifying the heavenly domain, leaving no time to attend to the 10 little golden crows. Thus, the eldest was akin to a father, and Dia's standing in the hearts of the other little golden crows was extraordinary. Witnessing Dia perish before their very eyes filled them with an indescribable hatred. Fortunately, not all among them were of tender intellect. After Dia was brutally crushed by Kwafu, the 6th in rank, Luya, promptly regained his senses. Realizing that their predicament would be little better than that of Dia, he resolved to save himself. Swiftly, he devised a plan and transmitted a bloodline message to the other little golden crows, rousing them from their stupor and urging them to rally for revenge on behalf of their elder brother. The other little golden crows, lost and bewildered, heeded Lu Ya's words, leading to the scene that now unfolds. Under Lu Ya's command, the 9 little golden crows feigned theatrics before Kwafu, while stealthily maneuvering to a single point below, their only chance of survival. Suddenly, 9 golden flames descended upon the same location of the vines. Even as Kwafu began to react and mount a defense, it was too late. Chapter 295, Strike Again at a Golden Crow. As the words were spoken, the moment passed swiftly. By the time the great shaman Kwafu realized what was happening, the 9 little golden crows had already darted past him like 9 shooting stars, reaching the vines 1,000 feet below his feet. Under the guidance of the 6th, Luya, the 9 flames of solar fire rained down ferociously upon a single spot. Moreover, having learned from prior experience, Luya was acutely aware of the astonishing healing speed of these vines. Thus, they did not merely unleash fire to scorch the vines. They also flapped their wings vigorously, their golden feathers slicing through the air like arrows, aimed at the point of impact of the flames. Whoosh, boom, boom. In an instant, in the high skies, the explosive crackle of flames mingled with the piercing whistle of feathered arrows, resonating in unison. Quick, do not hold back your demonic power. Incinerate them for me. Dare to slay my elder brother? You shall perish. The voice thundered with wrath. I shall not only crush you to the ground, but I will also continue to burn your tribe, reducing it all to ashes. 9 little golden crows circled around the vines, unleashing their fury as they launched their attacks. Roaring in rage, were it not for the fear of being ensnared by the vines, they would have eagerly closed in to tear with their beaks and shred with their claws, ensuring that Kwafu met his demise from such heights. United in their efforts, an extraordinary effect began to manifest. Above, Kwafu, just regaining his senses, attempted to descend while manipulating sorcery to heal the vines. Yet, the assault from the 9 golden crows was too ferocious. In their desperation, they simultaneously breathed fire and loosed a volley of arrows. The speed of the vine's regeneration could not keep pace. In the blink of an eye, a gaping wound was torn into the massive vines. And under the searing blaze of the sun's true fire and the piercing arrows, the wound could not be contained, swiftly expanding. In but a moment, it consumed a third of the vine-ash trunk. This is bad. You wretched beast. Die. Kwafu, witnessing the dire situation, felt a surge of fury and indignation. He realized that if this continued, his vines would undoubtedly succumb. No longer hesitating, he leaped downwards towards the 9 little golden crows without waiting for the vines to retract. Of course, he was not foolish. Being unable to fly rendered him vulnerable in the air. Thus, the vines remained firmly bound to his ankles, ensuring he could still maneuver midair. Scatter, commanded Luya, who had been observing Kwafu's movements. Upon hearing this, the other golden crows hesitated not for a moment, ceasing their attacks and swiftly retreating to create distance. Only one little golden crow, witnessing the vines on the verge of breaking, hesitated to withdraw, unleashing 2 more bursts of the sun's true fire. Yet, it was this moment of indecision that proved fatal. As it prepared to retreat, the sound of a swift descent pierced the air above it. Die! Roared Kwafu, plummeting from the sky. The peachwood staff in his hand grew rapidly in size as it came crashing down upon the little golden crow. The murderous intent emanating from him seemed almost palpable, enveloping the small bird entirely. The crow, hearing the deathly roar above, felt a chilling dread wash over its body, as if plunged into an icy abyss. Its retreat slowed involuntarily. Then, with a thunderous impact, the sound of flesh being pulverized erupted across the sky. All the small golden crows flying in reverse were startled by the sudden sound. In the next moment, they beheld the youngest among them, struck down by Kwafu. His lower body transformed into a golden mist of blood. His upper body was seized by Kwafu, his neck gripped tightly, his eyes glazing over as he succumbed to unconsciousness. Golden blood gushed forth from the severed wound. Youngest, quickly, return to save the youngest. Kwafu, release him. If you do not let go of the youngest, I shall incinerate your entire lineage today. The 7 small golden crows cried out in unison, their faces contorted with terror and rage as they gazed upon Kwafu. They recalled the horrific scene of their eldest brother's tragic demise. They could not bear to witness their younger sibling meet the same grim fate. Though his body had been shattered, as long as he still drew breath, there remained hope. With this thought, the desire to rescue their brother overcame their trepidation, and they no longer feared Kwafu. They surged towards him once more. No. Just then, a cry halted their advance. It was Luya, the 6th in line, who spoke up. His voice filled with anguish. We cannot return. We must leave now. The 10th brother cannot be saved. At this moment, we cannot take revenge either. The most prudent course of action is to scatter and flee. He alone cannot pursue us. If we delay any longer, other powerful shamans may come. Luya's voice resonated through the clouds, echoing in every direction to the ears of the small golden crows. Upon hearing his words, they could not help but display expressions of sorrow and hesitation. Their sorrow stemmed from the suddenness of their eldest brother's death, which had left them paralyzed with fear. If they allowed their 10th brother to perish at Kwafu's hands without taking action, it would cast a shadow over their lives, perhaps even become a source of inner torment. As for their hesitation, it arose from the realization that, upon reflection, Luya's words held merit. Although the situation was complex, in reality, only a brief moment had passed since they had burned the witch clan, leading to Kwafu's slaughter of their eldest brother and now his capture of the 10th brother. Yet, if they lingered, other powerful shamans, or even ancestral shamans might arrive to aid Kwafu. In that case, they would be utterly doomed. If one Kwafu could slay their eldest brother and drive them into despair, what would happen if an ancestral shaman intervened? They would likely perish on the spot. After all, they had descended recklessly into the realm, entangled in the schemes of the Kunping. The demon clan was undoubtedly unaware and could offer no aid. The witch clan, however, had other clans below, which would surely alert their kin at the first opportunity. Perhaps a powerful shaman, or even an ancestral shaman from another tribe would rush to assist. As this thought crossed their minds, the hesitation within their hearts surged relentlessly, prompting thoughts of retreat. This is bad. They must flee. Hearing Luya's words and witnessing the multitude of golden crows suspended in midair, Kwafu felt a sense of foreboding. He cast a fierce glare at Luya. This wretched creature possesses a modicum of intellect. It was just moments ago that it orchestrated the other lesser beings, inciting them to ambush him here. Now it speaks such words. If they truly disperse, he fears he may only manage to slay one more of the lesser beings. How then could he face the tribe? Confront the entire witch clan? Stand before the great ancestral witches? No, they absolutely must not escape. With this thought, Kwafu observed the half-dismembered golden crow in his grasp, its body flapping in the wind, incessantly bleeding. A sudden idea struck him. He summoned forth a green light from his hand, enveloping the wounded golden crow with the power of the wood laws. In no time, The bleeding ceased, and the wound began to scab over. The golden crow finally regained a breath, slowly opening its eyes. Chapter 296, The True and False Northern Gate. Ah, it hurts. Brother 2, Brother 6. I'm in so much pain. The golden crow awakened in Kwafu's grip. Its first reaction was to cry out in anguish. However, it had lost too much blood, and its consciousness was already fading. The words it uttered were weak and intermittent. Yet, even so, Kwafu felt a sense of relief. As long as it was alive, it still held value. Oh, still alive? Then I shall stew you later to nourish my children, Kwafu remarked, his voice booming, laced with mockery. At that moment, the golden crow in his grip was no longer a creature of life, not the son of Emperor June, nor the 10th prince of the demon clan, but merely a piece of nourishing flesh. He discerned that among these lesser beings, only the 6th one possessed a semblance of intelligence. The rest were mere fools. Thus, he could employ this tactic to ensnare them. As he pondered, his gaze swept across the reactions of the many lesser beings. Indeed, in the next moment, the multitude of golden crows, who had initially harbored thoughts of retreat and were ready to heed Lu Ya's words to flee, suddenly erupted. They fixated on the half-dismembered golden crow in Kwafu's hand, their eyes filled with sorrow and anguish. They had never endured suffering since their birth, always feasting on celestial treasures, resting atop the Fusang tree when weary. Their cultivation advanced effortlessly with each breath. Now, witnessing their brother's torment, feeling as though millions of insects were gnawing at their hearts, they were engulfed in profound pain. Upon hearing that Kwafu intended to stew their youngest brother, a surge of indignation rushed to the minds of the little golden crows, shaking their very spirits. Simultaneously, a wave of shame overwhelmed them. After all, this was their smallest sibling. They had momentarily entertained the thought of abandoning him and fleeing. If they truly escaped, how could they face their royal parents? Though small in stature, their father and mother had always imparted the lesson that the weak could never become strong. Thus, in the next moment, all the little golden crows, save for Lu Ya, could no longer contain themselves and charged towards Kwafu. This time, they refrained from roaring or shouting. They aimed for an element of surprise, hoping to reclaim their 10th brother. Stop! Lu Ya exclaimed in alarm, understanding that this was Kwafu's cunning ploy. If the adversary could mercilessly crush their eldest brother into a pulp, how could they possibly spare their 10th? It was a trap. However, his warning came too late, for the other golden crows had already transformed into 7 streaks of light, hurtling forward. Anxious, Lu Ya had no choice but to join the fray, hoping to save at least one. In the next moment, Lu Ya stood frozen in disbelief. To his astonishment, as the other golden crows lunged forward, Kwafu did not react in time. After wildly swinging his staff, the 10th golden crow was swiftly snatched away by the nimble 2nd golden crow, who clutched him tightly with 3 claws. "Let us go," cried the 2nd golden crow, having saved the 10th. The others followed closely behind, eager to ascend into the sky. But wait, something was amiss. Lu Ya finally registered the danger, his eyelids twitching as he shouted urgently. Boom! Almost simultaneously, the 10th golden crow in the 2nd's grasp erupted in a violent explosion. Green blood and the remnants of the 10th scattered everywhere, enveloping all the little golden crows in a fragrant green mist. This is bad. It's toxic. Run! Lu Ya immediately transmitted his thoughts, realizing that Kwafu would not be so careless. They had fallen into his trap. The poison had been concealed within their 10th brother's body. Think you can escape? You little beasts shall perish. Indeed, in the next moment, Kwafu's furious roar echoed behind them. Lu Ya's heart trembled, and despair engulfed him. It seemed that today would be their last. Yet, he had not yet felt the impact of Kwafu's staff. A wounded figure rushed towards him. It was Arya. Run! You all must flee back. Go find father and mother, Arya shouted as he dashed past Lu Ya towards Kwafu. A thunderous sound erupted, and in that moment, Lu Ya was jolted awake. Tears streamed down his face, for he understood that his elder brother had self-destructed. Yet he knew he had no time to mourn. Suppressing the grief swelling in his heart, he seized the opportunity, grasping the other Jinwu, and soared into the sky. Run! We cannot let him catch up. He's insane. Where are you, mother? Father? I do not wish to perish. Stop crying. Follow Lao Lu's lead. Hurry. We cannot let Erge's sacrifice be in vain. Oh no. Lao Lu, the poison is too potent. I cannot ascend. Lu Gu, I feel the same. My wings are too weak. Across the vast expanse of the northern continent, the little Jinwu struggled to fly. Unlike the spirited descent they had made to the mortal realm, they were now in a pitiful state, their bodies tainted with green venom. Their wings were nearly bare, with only a few feathers remaining. Most alarmingly, out of the 10 Jinwu that had descended together, 3 had already perished at Kwafu's hands, leaving only 7. Terror painted their faces as they frequently glanced back, crying out in fear. Were it not for the wisdom of the 6th brother, Lu Ya, leading them, they would have been utterly lost, devoid of any will to survive. For Kwafu was terrifying. Not only was his power formidable, but he was also exceedingly brutal and cunning. He had poisoned them, rendering their wings powerless and preventing them from flying high. They could only follow Luya as he guided them northward. Do not panic. The northern heavenly gate of our demon clan lies ahead. If we can reach it, we shall survive. All of you, pull yourselves together. Luya, leading at the forefront, frequently called back to his brothers. Though he ranked 6th among the 10 Jinwu, at this moment, he became the backbone for the other 6. It was his words that rekindled the spark of survival in their eyes. The northern heavenly gate. They had heard their mother speak of it. It was one of the 4 great heavenly gates of their demon clan. Only by ascending the heavenly ladder beneath the gate could they rise from the earth to the heavenly realm. This was their sole hope. They believed that the demon commander stationed at the northern heavenly gate would surely come to their aid. With this thought in mind, the little Jinwu once again flapped their numbed wings, flying low towards the north. Yet, the poison of Kwafu was indeed formidable. Even as the spark of survival ignites within them, transforming into an impetus, the toxins infiltrate their bloodstream. Their flight speed diminishes significantly, and they descend ever lower, their pace further slackening. Up ahead, the sensation of numbness in their wings weighs heavily upon Luya's heart. Despite the deep-seated reluctance, he is acutely aware that their current predicament has escalated to a nightmarish level. Is there a northern heavenly gate ahead? Or does he even know the direction of the northern heavenly gate? Undoubtedly, he does not. This is his inaugural descent to the mortal realm. How could he possibly be familiar with this place? The mention of the northern heavenly gate being ahead is merely an attempt to instill a glimmer of hope in his brethren's hearts. Otherwise, they would surely be engulfed by the haunting images of their 3 brothers' tragic demise. Yet, he does not speak aimlessly. Firstly, the direction of his flight is indeed toward the north, as determined by the movements of the celestial stars. Secondly, during his first descent, the malevolent Kuanping sorcerer had mentioned that this territory lies in the northern continent of the chaotic wilderness. Naturally, the nearest landmark would be the northern heavenly gate, which is why Luya is soaring northward. However, whether this place truly belongs to the northern continent remains uncertain in Luya's mind. Yet, at this moment, in their dire circumstances, with no means to contact their parents or the demon clan, what other choice does he have? None. He must use this pretext to temporarily keep his brothers alive. Furthermore, he hopes to encounter an enlightened being during their flight to clarify their location. What renders Luya powerless and anxious is the vastness and desolation of this land. After flying for so long, not a single enlightened being has been sighted. Moreover, they have all succumbed to Kwafu's poison, their wings rendered powerless. If this continues, Kwafu will undoubtedly catch up to them. Chapter 297, The Law of Speed, to be captured and stewed. In the western blissful world, Mount Sumeru, Great Thunder Sound Temple, Inner Hall. Brother, the plan has succeeded. 3 golden crows have perished, and only Shiha from the demon clan has sensed something amiss. Currently, the situation of these little creatures is perilous. At this moment, with his celestial eye observing Kwafu and the 10 golden crows, he slaps his thigh in laughter. In that instant, there is no trace of the compassion and mercy one would expect from a sage or Buddha on his face, only the demeanor of a schemer reveling in his success. For Xuanti, the demise of the 3 golden crows is indeed to his advantage. Regardless of the machinations at play, it is undeniable that the 3 golden crows met their end at Kwafu's hands. The enmity between the demon clan and the shaman clan is now irrevocably deepened. A war between the shamans and demons is imminent. As long as the battle, they will secretly intervene, steering the situation. Neither the witch nor the demon race can gain the upper hand. It is imperative that they engage in a fierce struggle, ideally leading to the complete annihilation of both factions. This is an opportune moment for the Western Church to preach to all beings. Contemplating this, Xuanti envisions a multitude of Buddhas coming to pay their respects, and he and his fellow disciple effortlessly fulfilling the 48 great vows. Subsequently, they would transcend into the realm of saintly beings and achieve the fruits of the great path. The thought fills Xuanti with increasing excitement. However, after a moment of exhilaration, he notices that his elder brother has not echoed his sentiments. Curiosity piqued, he turns to his brother, inquiring, "Brother?" He sees Jiayin meeting his gaze and gently shaking his head, stating, "Not enough. The one-sided slaughter only claims the life of Dijun's son. That is insufficient. Such actions merely sow the seeds of enmity. To incite a true conflict between the 2 races, the witch side must endure significant losses as well." At these words, Xuanti momentarily pauses, then falls into contemplation. Indeed, his brother's words ring true. The golden crows were the ones who struck first, and they are at fault. They burned down the Kwafu Great Witch tribe, resulting in the deaths of many from the witch race. However, if 10 golden crows perish, the wrath of the ancestral witches will also subside. After all, the true culprits are the 10 small golden crows. The casualties are merely a few minor witches along with numerous witch generals and soldiers. Such beings are but a fraction of the vast witch race. Consequently, the ultimate outcome would leave only Di Juntai, bereft of his son, harboring immense rage. What if the 12 ancestral witches choose to avoid conflict for the greater good? With this thought, Zhuan Ti slightly nods, his brow furrowed. As an instigator, a driving force behind this conspiracy, Zhuan Ti certainly does not wish to witness such a scenario. After all their efforts, if the witch and demon races do not engage in battle, it would all be in vain. They must push further. This time, let the 10 small golden crows counterattack Quafu. At that moment, Jie Yin's voice resonates. Hearing this, Zhuan Ti's eyes brighten, yet dim once more. With only 7 half-dead creatures remaining, can they truly slay Quafu? While it is possible for us to deliberately suppress Quafu, the problem lies in the fact that we would then become embroiled in this matter. Brother, Zhuan Ti expresses with concern. Meanwhile, the small golden crows are meeting with misfortune. In the northern lands, Luya is burning with anxiety, his eyes scanning the horizon desperately. He yearns to discern whether any living beings exist. If he could find even one, he could ascertain whether this place is indeed the northern continent, thus avoiding blindly forging ahead. However, after a period of flight, Luya felt an increasing weight upon his heart, sweat seeping through his feathers. How strange. After flying for so long, he had yet to encounter a single living being. Only the unawakened flora surrounded him. This was utterly beyond reason. It was known that the spiritual energy in this realm was not sparse. So why was there not a single creature to be found? It was as if someone had preemptively extinguished all life in this area. Suddenly, an ancient visage emerged in Luya's mind. Could it be the Kunpeng? Had he anticipated everything? Had he slaughtered all the beings here to prevent his brothers from connecting with the outside world? How infuriating. What enmity did this adversary harbor against his father? To meticulously orchestrate such a grand scheme targeting him and his companions. If there were grievances, why not confront their father directly? What merit was there in poisoning those of lesser stature? Bad news came relentlessly, compounded by the rapid spread of the poison within him. As flying necessitated the flapping of wings, any momentary stillness would drastically reduce his speed. Consequently, the blood within his wings surged while the venom infiltrated further. Luya could feel his wings growing increasingly feeble. How could he possibly proceed like this? Was there any alternative? To hide? To burrow beneath the earth? No. Setting aside whether digging a hole would indeed elude Quafu, simply considering that his brothers were barely sustaining their flight due to the North Sky Gate ahead. If he suggested retreating underground, they would likely falter. And to run? As the saying goes, what one fears will come to pass. At that moment, a thunderous roar reverberated from behind. Luya's heart trembled, his complexion paling as he turned to look. What was once an expansive emptiness behind him suddenly revealed a small black, rapidly enlarging into a human silhouette. Before he could even blink, a towering figure came racing towards him with astonishing agility. Each step he took left deep impressions in the ground, a cloud of yellow sand billowing behind him, as if a colossal yellow dragon followed in his wake. Seeing Luya glance back, Quafu, who was in hot pursuit, grinned and exclaimed, "Did you think that by self-destructing one of your own, you could escape? With my poison coursing through you, you shall all perish today. Escape? Where do you intend to flee? To the North Sky Gate? Can you truly evade me? Let us see if you can survive long enough to reach the North Sky Gate." Upon finishing, Quafu's entire being surged with vitality, his speed increasing yet again. When it came to velocity, Quafu felt no trepidation, for he had comprehended the principles of the minor realm, not solely the laws of wood, but also the laws of speed. The so-called law of speed is a branch under the law of time. When fully unleashed, it enables one's speed to surpass that of the external world. This is precisely the reason why Quafu exudes such confidence in his proclamation at this moment. Firstly, he possesses unwavering faith in his poison. Observing the golden crows unable to ascend towards the celestial sphere, they are instead forced to fly low towards the north. Confirms to Quafu that his poison is indeed taking effect. Secondly, he is assured of his own swiftness. As long as he does not aim for the heights, he believes he can catch up to the little golden crows even after allowing them a head start of 100 or 80,000 miles. This also explains his current appearance, although the recent self-detonation by the two had indeed inflicted some wounds upon him. The primary issue lay in the excessive depletion of his vital energy. It was only after descending from the heights and consuming flesh and blood that he managed to regain some vitality, allowing him to pursue them once more. At this moment, he has partially restored his vitality, and with the little creatures unable to ascend to great heights, Quafu is naturally confident he can capture them all. Indeed, he does not intend to kill the remaining 7 golden crows. Their golden blood is the essence of extreme yang. Capturing them would provide sustenance for the children of his tribe, aiding in their recovery from injuries, while also cleansing the quality of their bloodlines and enhancing their cultivation. Furthermore, It could contribute to the proliferation of the Wu clan, potentially resulting in the birth of numerous little shamans, or even a great shaman. This has been the long-standing strategy of the Wu clan, to sustain war with war, asserting dominance over the wilderness through the strength of their lineage. The result is a growing number of great and little shamans, as all captives of the Wu clan are utilized as nourishment for their flesh and blood. This practice is not unique to the Wu clan. All races in the wilderness partake in similar strategies. However, the Wu clan differs from others in that they solely cultivate the physical body and possess various techniques such as the 9 transformations of mystical arts and the 8-9 mystical arts, which allow for the enhancement of bloodline quality